to the meditation of mind, heart be acceptable in Yahweh's sight. He is our strength and our redeemer, and it is in his name, which is his authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect today's message. Amen. Welcome, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Barak Allah Atsham Yahweh, Shalom Ana Kofi, Mashalom Che, Hola, mi nombre es Kofi, ¿cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi, Ni hao, Namaste, Osayo, Ohio, Habari, mi vini Kofi, Nina Franco Katana Nueve, Aqua Abba, et Descent. Thanks so much for being on. Kamsamida. We are appreciative of everybody for being on today. We thank you so much, and we honor your presence today. We know you didn't have to be here, but the fact that you decided to be here, we appreciate it. Grand rising, shalom to everybody, peace. And we give all honor and praise once again to Yahweh Elohim. We give all praise and honor to him for my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. We've been having some issues due to the weather, but prayerfully we'll get some of the stuff that's backlogged sent out to you guys. Finishing up calendar stuff as well. Trying to make sure that we continue to watch party stuff. So those who were part of the watch party yesterday, same link. It try to send out a Google Calendar invite to everybody. Again, didn't work so well on Sunday or Monday, but we'll try it again. But those who have the link, you can go ahead and join us. If for whatever reason you have an issue with the link or whatever, you can feel free to text us, email us, etc. Just reach out to us, contact us, and we'll make sure that we get you whatever we can ASAP to make sure that you have access to everything. But we're thankful and grateful today. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys rolling with us again. If you want a little bit of contact info to get with us, if you're on TikTok right now, you can kind of screenshot different ways, different places to get in contact with us. Number that's up there, you can text. If you're on YouTube, of course, you can just look at the description box of what's going on. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you. We honor you. Thanks for spending a little more time with us on this rising. To Lottie Dottie and everybody, but to the moderators, the ministerial staff, to SOC, to the diaspora, to those who agree with us, disagree with us, those who might consider yourself to be allies or friends or human beings with us, those who agree totally with what we're going to be talking about today, those who disagree totally with what we're going to talk about today. It's all gravy. We appreciate your presence. We're thankful for you. We honor you for spending some time with us, whether you're on the podcast, YouTube, TikTok, etc. We're thankful to you. And today we're going to talk about you don't have to wear it no more. Or you do not have to wear it anymore, as some people would say it, but you don't have to wear it no more. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So thanks for being on. How you doing, Minister Morel? I see you, Sister Darla, 33 Darla, Nay, Anubis. I believe it's Sister. I apologize if I mismanaging names. Anubis, Dalayim, Yashir, Keith, Marlin, I Am Love, Cyrene or Serling. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Sirlene's. I hope I'm saying it somewhat correctly. Eugene for the D. How you doing? Do I go home to a white woman? Okay, if that's your way of saying hello, how are you doing? People who've seen my wife and have been around long enough and seen pictures of her and seen her come on lives, but my wife, what color she is. But yes, if that makes you feel better, my wife is what we would consider by colonial construct to be Black. And obviously, I'm okay with wearing my culture, knowing who I am and being Shwe, as well as Yashel, as well as Kush, as well as Kemet, and the list goes on, right? My family lineage is strong. How you doing, Lamar? How you doing, Keith Samuel? How you doing, Senior? How you doing, Real Justice? Hello, Vidic. I don't know how to pronounce it. Vidageuseee. I apologize. I don't, but thanks for being on. How you doing, Sister Helen? Yeah, thank you, Darla. Yeah, so if that makes whoever was on there happy, but once again, we don't have to wear it no more. Even something like that, right? You don't have to wear it no more. We're going to explain that in a little bit. How you doing, Anubis? Yep, we can take off mental slavery. How you doing, Big Brother Thomas? How you doing, Antoine? I believe Antoine Flanders, hopefully, or Antoine Flanders. But Mon family. Oh, Jamaican patois. Yeah. How you guys doing? So is Elohim in control? Yes, Elohim is in control of what you allow him to be in control of. If you serve him, he can be in control. That doesn't have anything to do with, well, it does actually have a lot to do with what we're saying. But if that's the thing of being like, is he in control? Then, we shouldn't have to worry about anything, blah, blah. Well, like, you know, I think that that's something that, what I'm not sure what the comment is, but once again, we'll actually get into the subject matter in a second. So maybe people will listen and actually hear what we have to say before any assumptions are made. We have all this interesting, wild stuff going on, but that's okay. Am I African American? No, I'm not. On paper, according to law, being African American, Black, colored, or Negro on paper, of course, which was dealing with law, but on paper, those things are considered to be a non-human being. So nobody was African American until about 1980, maybe a couple months before. And so, if that's not what my people have ever been, why do I need to be that? Because somebody told Jesse Jackson and others to put that in our mind and told us that's what you should call yourself, right? So before those things were there, I was already other things. Why not be who I always was? I don't know if there's Dolph in the background or not. In all honesty, it could be. I don't know enough about him. How you doing, Deeper Waters? And so to everybody, how you doing? Her 3802, Brother Alton, if I didn't say so. Amos Waters, thanks for being part of the community. User 315. Hello, Key Dell. How you doing? Marky Sheriff. And Dre, if I didn't say so already. Bernell Bryant, thanks for being on. Carrie, thanks for sharing the live. We appreciate you also. Here's the subject matter for today. How you doing? Getting to happiness and for Purple Hippie. And if I don't get to your greeting or your question or your comment right away, please forgive me. How you doing, Sister Cynthia? Thanks for being on. If I don't get to it right away, I'm just one human being. We have multiple platforms going on. I'm doing my best to be able to have conversation. How you doing, Sister Dawn? All righty. So this is what we're going to talk about today. You ready? You don't have to wear it no more. Now, this is going to be a lot of points, as we always do anyways. We take a long time with these things. But there's going to be a lot of points, but we're going to go ahead and get into these points. How you doing, Sister Betty? So you don't have to wear it no more. You don't have to wear oppression. You don't have to wear frustration. You don't have to wear what people say about you. You don't have to wear somebody else's philosophy about you. You don't have to wear, if you don't do what I say, then you're not worthy of it. You don't have to wear who should you be married to. You don't have to wear somebody else's theologies. You don't have to wear somebody else's cosmology. You don't have to wear somebody else's psychology, right? You can wear freedom, or you can take off a lot of what you've been wearing. So this is what a lot of us have been wearing, if we just be honest about it. If we be honest about it. What many of us wear is, a lot of people have been wearing oppression. A lot of people have been wearing depression. A lot of people have been wearing recession. And then what happens is we want to make concession, and then we either use or we lack confession. And how you doing, babe? My wife is on once again, the Honorable Maya. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. All right. So you can make a choice today, right? You don't have to wear it no more. You don't have to wear it. But a lot of us, we wear what? Oppression. We wear depression. We started to wear recession. And what happens now is that we've accepted concessions to things we shouldn't even have concession to. And now so we're also asking for people to give us confession. What do I mean by that? We wore oppression for so long. We've been in an oppressive system, oppressive families, etc. How you doing, Brother Naya? And thanks for being part of the community, not for everyone. So, and how you doing, Sister Elion? Right. So we've worn oppression. How you doing, Minister Sonia? We've worn an oppressive system. We were born into an oppressive system. We were born into oppressive families. We were born into oppressive belief systems. We were born into oppressive reasoning. How you doing, Brother Ali and Big Roy? We've been doing that for so long. How you doing, Sister Sharice? We've done that so long. We're somebody else's oppression that we've gone into a depression, right? And because now we're depressed, right? We can't even wear stuff like Black is Beautiful because we're so depressed, because we've been oppressed for so long, that now we have started to do what? We started to recess. We've gone to a place where we have taken recess from our very being, from ourselves, right? There is no processing through the lens of who we are. We are in recess. So we've been oppressed for so long and worn it, right? I'm sorry, one question, why would put up a picture with a chain what? One question, why would you put up a picture with a chain around his neck if you never see it? If I never see what? Jesus Rivera, so Jesus Rivera. I guess just even looking at your name, I guess the point is what that you're saying that since somebody has a chain around their neck, and no, I don't see people walking around with chains in their necks, but by the way, it's actually in fashion shows and stuff, anyways. But because people don't see a physical change, there can't be an emotional chain, there can't be a spiritual chain, there can't be bondage of different types. If that's the whole victim mentality thing, you got to realize in order to be a victor, you got to make victims. So I'm more than a conqueror. I don't worry about being victorious. That's somebody else's word. They slid into the Bible. That's not our word. But we are strong in who we are, right? And maybe you've never worn anything. Maybe you've never been sick. Maybe you've never had anybody take something from you unjustly. Maybe you've had nobody lie. Maybe you've never dealt with any kind of depression or whatever. And if that's great and you're perfect, praise Yah for your perfection. Now, I don't think that you're perfect because you're not the Messiah and you're definitely not our Messiah. But once again, listen long enough to see where this is going. And even if we need to go down the route to where we talk about when people walked around with chains around their neck, by the way, don't forget that just earlier this year in Georgia, they literally told you guys that there were still people that had people in plantations, not just what you would consider typical Black folk, but even Mexican dark folk. So even if you don't see it, even if you haven't been to prison or been to jail or seen people that are there who sometimes are falsely accused and have to walk around with chains around their neck and their arms and their legs, been there, done that myself for something that I didn't do. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. But thank you very much if that's your way of saying hello, and I hope you enjoy your day. So once again, we've worn oppression so long. A lot of us have worn depression so long, right? We've worn recession so long that we start to actually brag about it. We try to make it fashionable. What happens when oppression becomes fashionable? What happens when depression becomes fashionable? What happens when recession becomes fashionable? In other words, oppression. What happens when I start telling people, man, what happens in a community where that happens for so long? How you doing, Bishop? So what happens in a situation in the communities where basically a group of people have been oppressed for so long they start wearing it and they start saying, man, look at you ain't never really been oppressed, you ain't never really had no whooping, you ain't never really gone through nothing, you ain't never been spanked like that. See, my mama, when she used to spank us, she used to go ahead and use that telephone cord. Oh, no, no, no. You don't know nothing about that, bro. I'm telling you, like, I used to have to go outside and I used to have to go outside and go to that tree. Well, I used to have to go out to that tree and I used to have to braid it up like a cord and use it. Right. Well, we called it a switch, and grandma had 5, 6 switches on standby. We're literally like using oppression as fashion and trying to go down this runway of sorts and be able to say, this is why my oppression is worn better than your oppression. Not have we come out of it, but who looks better in it. That's the point that was trying to be made, by the way. Um, you know, yeah, there's no push to get out of it. Exactly, babe. We were thinking the same thing, same time. There's no push to get out of it. It's accepted as normal. Thank you for the love, right? And yeah, when we start to normalize it, we start to think that it is, and we've worn it for so long, like then it causes depression. But you know how we are. We don't really look to get rid of depression. We don't look to talk to people about things. We're not even supposed to admit that depression our own women have been taught by other people, and then we just took it over that they're supposed to be strong, Black, independent, not think about it. And so you deal with depression and you wear it, and you wear it as a badge of honor. You're in a depressive state, a depressive mood, and yet you wear it as a badge of honor. And look, I honor you for being who you've needed to be, but let's be honest, like that's not what you're supposed to wear. You don't have to wear it no more. That's the theme for today. You said, Minister Shante, you said learned behavior is taught and lack begins to thrive and becomes a lifestyle, unfortunately. Yeah. So we become depressed. Have you ever heard everybody keep saying you're free, but you feel like you're in prison? Holy Spirit said that to me this rising. Have you ever had people keep saying, well, they'll say stuff to you like, you say, how are you doing? They say, well, you know what? You know what? Like, yeah, well, at least I got life. I'm alive. That doesn't sound very invigorating. That's why Yahshua said, I didn't just come that you would have life, but I came that you would have life and have more abundantly. He said, I came to set the captives free. But we just say, well, as long as I'm alive while I'm captive, it's all right. I'll wear it. Right. One thing that I'm so proud of myself, because a lot of people aren't able to do. Do you know it's a goal for people who've been in prison before? A lot of people, such as myself, who've been in prison before. Your goal is to make sure that you forget your number. I can't remember my prison number, but there's a lot of people that have never forgotten it. Been out 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 70 years, 80 years. Right. And they can't forget the prison number because you have to start saying the prison number instead of your name. They put a number in place of your name. Your name is supposed to be your authority. They take away your authority. They say that you lost it, whether you're guilty, innocent, whether you're still going to trial, whether you're even supposed to go to trial and you're just waiting for right to a speedy trial. Doesn't matter. They're trying to take away who you are. If you're in there too long, you'll forget who you are. And you start to wear the thing that oppresses you and the thing that depresses you. You'll start to wear it more than anything else. Resilience isn't a virtue these days. Yeah, it definitely isn't. Right. It's not something that we try to be representative of. Right. And back in James, boy, in the economic box. A lot of people are kept in the economic box for sure. A lot of people don't even know how money works. Heck, a lot of people don't even know that money's not even real. So a lot of people are depressed, wearing poverty, not even realize that poverty doesn't come from lack of money. Poverty comes from a lack of idea. Poverty comes from a lack of community. Poverty comes from a lack of lifting up a doctrine that says you should be okay versus you should go ahead and be there. Poverty comes from thinking that you need to give your social security for everything, right? Oh, thank you, Justin, or Justy, excuse me, Justy Johnson. Appreciate that. How you doing? Talks with Toya. Shalom to you. Is it what its statements is get? Oh, yeah. I see you, Sister Betty. How you doing, Miss Pierce? Yeah, generational destruction, all those things, right? So we warned oppression for so long. And how you doing, Yahweh yesterday? Like, so we warned depression for so long, right? And oppression. Sorry, we've worn oppression for so long, it made it fashionable. We wore depression for so long that we made it fashionable. I'm sorry, depression comes from a focus issue. We are overly distracted and misguided. Yeah. So we've been in oppression for so long and depression for so long that now what starts to happen is we've been in recession. Now we wear recess. Recess is a break, right? So recess, we have taken recession. We've gone into a recession. We've gone into, even sometimes recession doesn't just mean break, but it actually goes one in hand with depression, where it actually can talk about we've broken from prosperity or the ability to push for so long that we actually are going backwards. And we wear it for so long. Now the next part that becomes dangerous is that we are actually begin to start making concession to it. Are you with me? See, we wore an oppression, been in an oppressive situation for so long that we actually wore depression and didn't do anything about it, not even knowing the symptoms, let alone what's going on, right? Or taking things to mask the symptoms. Like when people get a cold, they don't take something that actually deals with what's going on with the body. They just say, oh, I have a cold, which means I have symptoms. They take stuff to mask the symptoms, but they never try to figure out what caused the cold in the first place. And somebody be like, man, I've been taking cough medicine for 3 months. This is crazy. I might get addicted to this stuff. What's really going on? But for 3 months, you went through something that was oppressing your body, but never dealt with it. You were being depressed. So that was the symptom. So you tried to fight the depression, but you had to keep on going. You had to keep on going to work. You had to keep on taking things. We're the same thing we're doing. And now we start getting to a recession. We take a break from who we really are, being healthy and being whole as a people. How you doing, Sue Willer? Thanks for being on with us. And then once we get to the next level, now, if we're not careful, we've begun to make concessions. We begun to say, okay, I'll concede this in my life. I'll concede this for my people. Shalom, GT money. I'll concede or get money, I guess, right? I've been saying GT money all the time. Is it get money? Probably get money. But I've made all these concessions to say it's okay for me to wear this oppression, to wear this depression, to wear this recession. I'll keep wearing it and I'll keep making concessions over and over again. I'll give away more and more. I'll have my children do more, do less and less that is becoming of them. I'll have my relationships have less and less energy and flow. I'll study less. I'll pray less. I'll do these things because I've got other things that are more important. I'm sorry, what you say, babe? I think a lot more people are depressed and realize it. Yeah, many don't know they're depressed. Most definitely. I know, you told me the story before about, a place, time in your life you didn't know that you were depressed. I know I've talked about my story openly about how my mom passed away for about 2.5 years. It took somebody telling me, I think you've been depressed. going through life every day. But once again, the theme for today is you don't have to wear it no more. You can take it off, right? But we have to learn what we're doing and learn the symptoms and learn the signals. Bakwata, you said that you mail packages for over 20 years. You know your uncle's hurt. Oh, number by heart. Yeah, for prisons and stuff. Yeah, most definitely, right? And you wear it for so long that it just becomes part of your everyday. And what starts to happen is you want people to make concessions. Concessions, and then it leads to the last part, which is confession. You want somebody to not confess truth. You just want somebody to go along with the same logic. Hey, this is a familiar theme for many, and we make fun of this thought process, but let's use a thought process that many are familiar with. Hey, do I look good in this? Does this make me look fat? Does this make my butt look big? Right now, something's not right with the outfit, but you decided you're gonna do it. You're trying to be brave and then brave do it. So you're asking somebody, hey, how does this make me look? Well, when you start wearing, hear what I'm saying, y'all. Stay with this. I want you to get this. And how you doing, Grand Rising to you, Sister Deborah? Right. I'll stay with this now. I want you to get this. I'm gonna take over a little bit and come out the comments, the chat section just for a second, but I want us to get this, right? How you doing, Queen Big Crystal? I want us to get this, okay? You ready? You wear oppression, depression, and recession for so long that you start making concessions to it and saying, I can see that this is what I'm supposed to look valuable in. This is what makes me look great. I'm gonna make it fashionable. And so you start to make it fashionable. And what you start asking is concessions from other people. And now you want them to confess what you believe. So you're not supposed to be wearing depression and oppression and recession. But because it's all that you feel you got, you start saying to other people, hey, do I look good in this oppression? Hey, do I look good when I tear my children up? Do I look good when I say ain't no black man? I'm waiting for somebody to say, yeah, you right, sis. Ain't no good black man no more. Do I look fine? Do I look fine in this when I tell sisters that I'm a high value man and once you guys hit 30 something years old, you ain't in no value? You waiting for another brother. Yeah, somebody needs to stand up and say, I've been waiting for people to tell these women off. We start looking for things that come out of an oppressive mindset. How many times have you gone to somebody, maybe even unknowingly, maybe the first time you're dealing with this thought process, somebody bringing it up this way, but there's times in your life that you've been way out of pocket in what you've been called to be, what your diaspora needs, what your mindset needs to change, and you just been in essence asking people, hey, do I look all right in this? Do I look all right? Thank you for the love. Do I look all right speaking a language that's not mine? Hallelujah, hibiscus. Thank you for the love again. Do I look great in this? Do I look valuable in this? Do I look good in this depression? Tell me I look good, please. Because ain't nobody telling me I look good otherwise. Tell me I look good in this. If it means that I got to put on more depression, if it means I got to put on more oppression, thanks for being part of the community, Andre. If it means that I got to put on more break from myself recession, if it means that I have to be more stressed, if it means that I have to work more hours, if it means I have to give more gifts, if it means that I have to bow down more, if it means I need to become a doormat, if it means that I got to be slapped across the face, if it means that nobody will respect me, do I look all right in this? You said as soon as I compliment the child, the mom stops cursing at them and starts valuing them more. Because you gave them confession in the opposite. See, they want confession to be like, oh, well, blah, blah. Do I look good? They looking for attention. They looking for somebody to say, hey, something I'm doing is decent. But when you're willing to confess a truth, then they go, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to wear this and somebody will give me positive reinforcement. Yeah, a lot of stuff is inverted or reversed or should be repented from or we should turn away from, etc. All these terms that we're using, we're trying to tell people that you don't have to wear it no more. You shall not have to wear it anymore, right? Thou shalt not wear it anymore. Whatever you want to call, you don't have to wear it no more. When you've worn oppression and you've worn depression and you've worn recession long enough and you've even made concession to it at a certain point, now here comes confession. Will you confess even with your mouth, confess from your heart, confess with your mindset that you don't have to wear it no more. I don't have to put this on another time. This is not my season to wear oppression. I'm gonna put it to the side. And knowing our people, because we don't look for things that are valuable and actually pay for things, we're willing to get stuff on sale. So not only give me oppression, give me oppression that doesn't cost me too much. Right? Like if anything, if you're gonna oppress me, you're gonna have to earn this. Right? If you're gonna whoop me, you're gonna have to earn this butt whooping. But no. Give it to me on sale. Because I don't believe in putting anything, investing any time, investing any spirituality, investing any energy, investing any psychology, investing in reading. No, just give me whatever it is that allows me to keep wearing this over and over again. Right? You hear what I'm saying? You said who's whooping who? Okay, you had children who've got whippings before. You get to a certain point to where if you're gonna whip me, every once in a while you're gonna have to earn it. All right, does that make more sense? Oh no, but 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 once again, we have to we have to be willing to put in the time and the effort, put in that work. And we've been wearing oppression, and we made it fashionable. It's fashionable to be oppressed. That's why I tell people all the time, people get it twisted. They come on here, they see the way that I'm presented, they see the clothes that I wear, they see me wearing who I naturally am, and they go, oh, here comes somebody, he's a victim. No. Like, I'm not a victim because you're not victorious over me. In order to be a victim, you have to have a victor. I'm not asking you for reparations. If you wanted to give reparations, you gave them to yourself already. So if that's what makes victims, then you're victims. You're living off of reparations, off of making victims off of other people. Now you become the victors. You flip the same thing that you put on somebody else. You can keep your reparations. We want inward reparations. We want to have our own land. We want to have our own mindset. We want to have our own thought process. We want to teach our own lessons. We want to teach our own people. We want to have our own universities. We want to grow our own food, right? And I don't have to wear it no more. That's what's frustrated the people when we speak like this, because they're trying their best to tell us that we have to keep on wearing what they said and make it fashionable. But I've decided to take off the chain. Why is it that you're not chained up, but I got to be chained up? You say that being chained up is fashionable, but you don't have any chains. Why don't I just take these off real quick? And then we can both be what you call equal, because equality is a myth. No two people are equal. My wife and I are not equal. My wife and I are allowed to stay in our lane. And when she's 100, what she needs to be, and I'm 100, what I need to be, that's when we're unstoppable. That's when we're free. We took off the chain of equality. My wife, I can't do things my wife can do. My wife can't do things that I can do. But when we come together, oh, we're unstoppable. Now we become one. Why? Because we took off even the chain, the oppressive mindset. We took off the depressive mindset that causes us to be like, why can't this work? And we took off the concession or the recessive mindset that says that we have to break from who we are. We said we'll just be who we are, and we'll come together, and we'll make sure that we do this together. We don't have to wear it no more. Now here comes the chain off of my marriage. I'm on equally yoked, right? Now the chain comes off my marriage. Right? You can break the chain. We even sing songs, break every chain, right? But a lot of people keep talking about their freedom, but I keep seeing them wearing chains. Degradation worn as lace fronts. Humiliation worn as lapels. The finest their shoes in the fashion in the finest of finest of in the finest of victim blaming or victimhood. Hands scarred and hands scarred and cry and we will march, do this march and do that march. I'm looking at people's persona, you know, makeup. I look at the makeup on the face to cover up the fact that they've been crying and that they've been so busy taking care of somebody else that they have all these marks on their face because they're literally having too much. They're having endometriosis. They're bleeding out because they're so stressed and they're not eating correctly. But telling me how free they are. So free, so powerful. But divorce rate goes up to 75% in 2020 because you're so free that you can't even operate in your own house, which is supposed to be one of the freest places that exist. Go 20 years without ever going back to prison, and then all of a sudden you're back in prison for the rest of your life. Talking about I'll send prayers when other people need them, but you don't pray every day. There's an oppression that we wear. See, prayer has become oppressive for many of you because prayer is something that y'all don't do anyways, and you only mention it when you feel you have to, when you feel you're obligated. So you wear oppression so much that everything you do goes through the lens of oppression. Some of you never pray unless somebody's watching you, or somebody, or you have to say on social media, or say on the phone, or be like, hey, I'm praying for you. But you never, even on the phone call, you never start praying for the person. Why tell me you're praying for me if you won't pray for me? Why? Because you look at everything as oppressive. I ain't really got time to do it. I don't really got the spiritual stuff. I don't really have the spiritual cash or the cachet to really do it. I'm just saying it because I live out of oppression. I live out of depression. I don't even pray about my depression. Why would I pray about your situation? You said prayer can be every thought you think. Prayer is communication with the Most High. Is every thought that you think trying to make sure that you're in tune with the Most High? If it is, then we can make that claim and we can pray without ceasing. But it's not just every thought you think, it's everything you do. If you pick up trash off the ground, that's prayer. you know, right? Now, if you put trash into the ground, right? Not only is that not prayer, but that's prayer that don't reach no higher than the ceiling, right? Double-minded man is unstable in all their ways. We love that verse. James chapter 1, verse 8. But go back to verses 5 through 8. Verse 5 through 8 basically makes it plain that if you're going to live a certain way and then ask for something different than what you live, then when you come in, you're asking to miss. When you ask to miss, your prayers don't go any higher in the ceiling. Therefore, you're unstable. Yeah, you'll be unstable not only in your prayer, but you become unstable in all your ways. That's how the whole thing goes. Salah. How you doing, Gregor? So we have an instability because we wear oppression, we wear depression, and we wear recession. And we keep asking people, do I look all right in this? Do I look all right in this? Do I look all right in this situation? I'm going to go to somebody else's culture and I'm going to tell them that this is how your culture should be applied. Do I look all right when I only wear a piece of this? See, because we've been so oppressed, we're so used to being oppressed that we actually try to be oppressive to other people's stuff. Man, I know that you're a Buddhist, but don't tell me about Buddhism. This is what Buddhism really is. Well, why don't you listen to Buddha? Shakyamuni Buddha. You can listen to him and see what he has to say. See what his people had to say. Do you know where he comes from? Where his people come from? I'm going to tell you what yoga is. And now yoga has become pants. It's become a style. It's become an exercise. But yoga is a spirituality. Do you know what a yoga is? What a yogi is? Do you know the old saying that without yoga, there is no Hinduism? Without Hinduism, there is no yoga? Well, see, once again, people will say that. You are the Buddha. Buddha never said you're the Buddha. And that's fine. I'm not here to crap on anybody's beliefs to come off like I'm doing that. That's not the point. But I'm just saying, like, we do these things. It's like, people have these conversations and don't want to listen to the word. People go all the time, hey, make sure that oh, okay. Hey, how can two walk together? I'm sorry, or we got to be equally yoked. You don't even know the culture. Equally yoked does not mean it's two exact animals that are yoked together. Equally yoked means there's a master that gives commands. He yokes these two animals together. One animal is older and wiser, but doesn't have the same strength. One animal is younger, but has more strength. And so wherever they're deficient, the other person pulls them up. But people will say that out of nowhere because we have no culture. We are so used to being oppressed that we'll even try to oppress and then readdress and then remaneuver and come up with ideology to say whatever that they say is what I want it to be. But that's oppressive behavior. That's abusive behavior. Abuse is abnormal usage. That's what abuse is. It's a compound word, abnormal usage. People don't want to say abnormal usive, so they say abusive. That's what you say. It really should be abusage, but nevertheless. You say you feel like this still applies to you and your husband because he's literally everything you're not. And that's part of what attracts us. They say opposites attracts. There's reality in that. That's part of the law of attraction. Everybody talk about the law of attraction is just stuff that you want. The law of attraction is that you're gonna get some things that are opposite of you. How you doing, Barry? For example, you say you want to be strong. I want to be courageous. So you pray for courage, right? Everybody loves this thing that people have been saying for years, right? Out of these movies and stuff, and out of these poems. Now, so if you pray for courage, then guess what? Yahshua will show up, Yahweh will show up, the Holy Spirit will show up and will help you to voice your courage, but they're also going to give you things to test who you are. So when you come out of it, you can realize, oh, I had to be courageous to get out of that. We think the law of attraction is only to attract what you want. The law of attraction is to attract the opposite. Be careful what you're asking for, because if you're asking for it and you're saying, I want that house, I want that house, I want that house. You put a picture on your wall like they say, I want that house, I want that house, I want that house. You make sure that you put it on your door when you come in. I want that house. I want that. You ride around it. You walk around it 6 times. On the 7th time, you say, hallelujah, this house is mine. You do all the stuff that all these different religiosities and people are telling you to do. Well, guess what? There's going to be something that's going to be in opposition to it that's going to cause you to have to work harder. But at the end of the day, what you work through will make the house that much sweeter when you get it. See, people want to go ahead and come out of oppression. Well, if you want to come out of oppression, then it's not just going to be all the sweet stuff that comes with it, but you're going to have to deal through some ugliness. You're going to have to deal with some generational curses. You're going to have to become a curse breaker. You're going to have to stand strong in the face of those who are oppressing you, still telling you that you're wrong for admitting that you need to come out of oppression, because how dare you talk about oppression existing? You're going to have to deal with those things. Are you ready for that? If you're going to take it off, right? You've been wearing it. It's become fashionable. It's not fashionable to take off the only stuff that you've worn, because then you're going to have to look at yourself. You're going to realize how naked you are, and you're going to have to give an offering of sorts. You're going to have to give something, in other words, something that cost you time, talent, effort, energy, your gifts, study habits, culture, our ability. A lot of us who have no culture, you're going to have to give up things, and yes, sometimes maybe even your finances, your resources. You're going to have to sacrifice and be obedient, because obedience is better than sacrifice. You're going to have to be obedient, consistent, and competent going through these things to take it off. And when you take off all this stuff, before you can put on something else, you're going to have to. I know a lot of y'all do the well in your mind. No. You know, I can take off this shirt and put this shirt on the same time. Nobody will see that I'm naked. No. Like, you're going to have to strip down and realize what you are at your bare essence. You've never seen you at 0. You've seen you at -10. You've seen it when you put on something else and somebody says these chains are fashionable, they make you look like you're at 10, but you've never seen you at 0. If I strip off all these man-made constraints and I just look at who I am, period, who am I? What is the bare essence of who I am? Today, you don't have to wear it no more if you didn't get it already. You say, Brother Alton, people looking at you saying, why you're acting different, taking off those chains. Yeah. You know, that they call it drapetomania. Blessings to you, girl with the gap. They call it drapetomania. You do some research on what drapetomania is. Drapetomania is when they said that it was a mental health disorder for a slave to want to get off the plantation and run and be free. Drapetomania, drapetomania. Yeah, they wanted you to believe that it was bad for you to run. It was a psychological breakthrough where masters realized, oh, that's what's wrong with them. They are crazy. Because why would anybody want to run away from being oppressed? And you know, there's a Sambo spirit out there. Y'all, some of y'all call it Uncle Tom because you don't know Uncle Tom and Sambo in the movie. One of the first movies they did were put together. But Uncle Tom's Cabin, Uncle Tom was actually the heroic one for us, and Sambo was the bad one. And there's a lot of people with Sambo spirits that every time you're getting ready to go somewhere, they say, wait a minute, why are you trying to do that? Let me go tell the master. How you doing, Minister Tamara? Let me go make sure that I go on TikTok. So-and-so is talking about this. Let me make sure we got to cancel this person. They're talking about freedom. They're talking about everybody should come together. What are they doing? There's got to be Republican versus Democrat. What are they doing? We can't exist if there's no Republican. You hear people say this all the time. Well, what are we going to do? There's only two parties, as if there's only one way of living. May I be honest with you? I'm not saying these people don't. I don't know if they do or don't, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I have a tough time believing that all these billionaires go out and vote. Now, if they lobbying for something, they vote, but they don't vote for the same reason you and I vote. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. We got to know this. And how you doing, Lady USA? Thank you for the agreement. Right? You said has ludicrous. That sounds that KKK stuff ain't even funny. Okay, Harmony, and how you doing? Right? Like these people aren't worried about who's in office like you and I are, at least not for the same reasons. See, even when you vote, you just like, oh, they're going to take over, they're going to do this. No, some of those people they lobby and they'll invest money because they just want one thing. If you give me that one thing, then you can go ahead and get into office. Warren Buffett ain't tripping off of what you and I are tripping off of. You think Michael Jordan's tripping off of what you tripping off of? Especially now in his life. Of course, Michael Jordan shouldn't be connected to you. He ain't connected to you. That's not his mindset when he's spending money. You think that he got on the Black Lives Matter train because he always thought Black Lives mattered? Well, he's black. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. See, but that's an oppressive mindset that says, hey, because that guy looks like you, he must believe what you believe. Be ready that a lot of people who you would hope your family members who you would hope would listen and be ready to come out of oppression will be some of the hardest people to deal with when it's time for you to come out. You said we are pushed and pulled to vote the way they want. Yeah. And by the way, it's politics. Poli can be dealing with people or even the polls, your opinions. But your opinions doesn't mean that's what they're going to give you laws on, does it? Their goal, when they do all this stuff, when they advertise all the stuff that they just had y'all worried about for voting, guess what they did? They wanted you guys to fight for what they presented to you. You guys didn't start the fight on Herschel Walker versus whomever. You guys didn't start the fight on Texas law. You guys didn't start the fight on Roe versus Wade. Y'all didn't know that Roe versus Wade, could be changed or whatever. Matter of fact, it didn't matter if y'all wanted abortion or didn't want abortion. It had been sitting as the same law for years. This stuff was brought to you. It was served up to you, and then they said, "Hey, you should feel one way or the other," and you fell for it. As Malcolm X said, because we are political chumps. All the stuff that you need, you still ain't got no stop Asian hate. You still ain't got no stop black hate bill, right? It took one time for some people to get shot up that were Asian. And by the way, righteously so. Like Asian community, you did what you're supposed to. And black folk, we supported them to make sure we did it because we said, hey, Black Lives Matter movement, we can't be who we say we're supposed to be if we don't say that everybody's life matters. Because y'all got into the whole Black Lives Matter, all lives matter thing and allowed that to permeate. It's the same people leading both sides, but we don't see it. It's not in our psychology to take off chains. We have a abnormal or abusive behavior, not realizing the abusive psychology behind it. The billionaires don't vote, they write laws, politicians turn them into bills to pass. You see, yeah, most definitely. So can we go more into detail about oppression in a relationship and overcoming coming in, brother? So oppressive behavior starts before your relationship starts. And that's a great question. And thank you for being on with us today. I'm not sure if I pronounced this right. Is it McCloskey? Hopefully I'm saying that correctly, right? But oppressive behavior starts way before you're married. It starts way before you're born, if we be honest, because once again, people are carrying generational curses. Yeah, brought to you by this thing. Filling media with distractions, how what's going on, of course, right? But instead of forcing your family will work hard to keep you in chains because they don't want to be out of theirs, or they think they've been in chains for so long they think that you don't fit in if you're not in chains. But once again, oppressive behavior in anything, even in marriage, and people can have oppressive spirit, sure, but oppressive behavior, it starts way before you're even born. And see, we have such abusive behavior that we argue that babies are not babies until somebody says that they're babies. But babies are carrying things DNA memory wise that go back hundreds, hundreds of generations. There are certain curses that people have been carrying. So we don't even think about, hey, that thing that you're carrying, that thing that you're using against me, is it because maybe your grandmother was carrying that? Because we're not taught about marriage. We're taught about breeding. We're not taught about marriage, right? You said that psychology is why I want to open my own clinic in your community, become clinical psychologist. That sounds great. It sounds warranted, right? You know, but a lot of different things are real. Like we don't even think like that because we're not trained on marriage. We don't not trained on generations. We're not trained on a culture. We don't uphold the culture generation to generation. This is what we do. This is how we operate. This is what we lift up. This is what men should do. This is what women should do. We don't operate in that. We don't operate in laws, right? Kingdom law, marital law, universal law, natural law of attraction. We talked about already. Law of first mention. When was this first mentioned? What is the origin of this? You know, we date. Dating is abusive behavior. It's abnormal usage. If you go to the store and you look for something with a date on it, you're looking for what? An expiration, right? We're looking for, if you go on a date with somebody, you're looking for expiration. And what happens is you go on a date and you say, okay, well, this person, and you don't even have real values when you go on a date. Sometimes it's, I'm hungry. Some days it's, well, I got a plus one. I'll find somebody. Sometimes it's, she looked good. Sometimes it's he looked good. Sometimes it's like, hey, you know what? I ain't had no action in a minute. At least I'll be able to get my stress out. Like we have some really perverted reasonings for these dates. Yeah, they say sickness runs in your family, but they don't say anything else, right? And even that's more so your eating habits a lot of times. But nevertheless, right? Like we had this, oh yeah, it's I'm just going out with this person and blah blah. It's out of an oppressive mindset because see, up until recently, you didn't have dates. Because that's not how marriage doesn't come out of dating. Dating is expiration. So even that is an oppressive mindset. What happened that started us making us think that we shouldn't worry about being husbands and wives. We should just worry about having a great time until such time expires. See, and that leads us to depression. See, now every time we go on a date, that oppressive behavior, that abnormal usage, that abusive behavior, even has now led us to where now every time we get together and we start having going out on a date, we're actually depressed when we go on a date because we're ready for the worst. But maybe there's a sliver of hope in there. Maybe this will turn out all right. And we treat people like that. We treat people standoffish. We don't tell them the truth about ourselves. We don't tell them what our hopes are, what our dreams, what our goals, what our visions. Because our goal is not marriage, which is somebody who will be ride or die. Our goal is we'll see what happens at the end of this. Right? And so it's an oppressive mindset. So now we both come with an oppressive mindset to put on one another. We both come with a depressive mindset, right? Or where we're already depressed a little bit. And now we start doing what? We have a recessive mindset. I recess, I break from myself. I'm not going to really give you who I am. Right? I'm not going to really show who I am right now. I'm not really going to give who I am, show who I am. And once again, as a reminder, I don't do modern Hebrew. So I recognize some of the characters here or there, whatever, but I don't really read modern Hebrew. I'm more into paleo, but to each their own, right? So so we go into these different. How about Arrested Development? Is that the show? I don't know, or about the music or the show, right? But we get into this oppressive state, right? And so we're going through these behaviors. We're going through this dating behavior. We're going through, okay, this is going to run out here. Thanks for being part of the community, Derwin. We're looking at, okay, this is, well, we're just going to do this till this goes, right? So we're not looking for it. We're not looking for something that's righteous. We're not looking for something that's of right lawful standing, right legal standing, things of that. We're looking for something that is just going to make us feel all right. And then once that all right feeling leaves, it's expired. We don't have stamina. We don't even develop stamina as far as marriage. We don't go for long runs. If you're in a marriage, it's a marathon. And you're supposed to be married to the Most High, which means you already learn eternal marathon before you get to a time marathon. But that's not how we roll, right? Marriage is going to say you're going to lose a lot of yourself because you're going to become one with somebody else. So stuff that you thought mattered, you're going to find that it really doesn't matter. You need to know that before you get in. What happens with a lot of people? They start breaking up because I feel like I'm losing myself. Are you losing the negative things? Are you losing the positive things? See, different context, oppressive behavior, but we wear it as if it's fashionable. It's oppressive to say that I'm going to keep negative and positive. I'm going to do me. I'm never going to change. That's oppressive. That's oppression. To say I'm going to get in a relationship and I'm never going to do anything to get better. But that's what we do. We have an oppressive behavior. You got a 9 to 5, and you're not ever supposed to worry about getting a promotion. They say, oh yeah, promotion is great, but they don't walk around looking for promotion until somebody who might not even be great at what they do either passes away or goes to another job or quits or they get fired. And then, okay, we'll look around to see, and they haven't even been looking to see if you're worthy of it. You were in an oppressive situation. You're in an oppressive situation, a lot of things in your life, but we're trying our best to make it fit somehow. I'm sorry, you said if we carry these, and how you doing, Brother Vincent? You said if we carry these genetic memories, what about our oppressors? And that's a great point too. Your oppressors, they come from those things too. And they don't want to talk about those things either, unfortunately. And so now they're not trying to get better. As much as we talk about King only for things that make certain people feel comfortable, King used to say stuff like, hey, you know what? One of the things, and he said it like this, not me. He said, one of the things there's an issue with whites is that they believe that they got prosperity through not having to change or having just hard work ethic and not ever and hard Protestant work ethic and never actually going through a process of dealing with the fact that they got it off of the backs of slaves and people of color, right? He said that it's a problem when you have a group of people who swear they never have to learn anything, but they want to teach you everything. I'm paraphrasing that part, but that's what he said. He said, "Time is time. Get in line, or you go blind." Okay. Oh, okay. If you have the IQ, you'll find a way. Well, IQ tests, where do the IQ tests come from? Right. I'm all about like I'm fine. Let's go ahead and have discussion about it, but let's give contextual facts, context and facts. Where does the IQ test come from? Where when somebody takes an IQ test still to this day, what are they taking? Do you know how an IQ test works? We just go, oh, it just tests your IQ, your intellectual quotient. Where did that come from? How you doing, Aphrodisiac? You see what I'm saying? It's actually a oppressive behavior, right? It's actually a depressive behavior. It's actually something that has become a recessive behavior. Okay, well, if you worship half man, half Zeus, and you worship Germanic, deities, that's fine. But once again, it's become a oppressive behavior, a depressive behavior, and has caused a recessive behavior. See, if we're going to mention an IQ test, if you have an IQ, you'll just make it through. In somebody's system, you will make it if you have their IQ. See, because an IQ is intellectual quotient. Now, where did it come from? It actually came from a test that was started in France, right? It came from a place in France, and in France, in La France, well, in France, there were French people that were cityfied. I'll bring it down to language a lot of us use. They were cityfied, and then you had the people that were country bumpkins. So the French said, we'll come up with a test so that people that are country bumpkins can't get into certain jobs and certain things in certain areas and have certain ties that would allow them to be part of what we do. Somebody over in America, in the Northeast, was like, yo, I like that because we're trying to do manifest destiny over here. Right. So we're going to go ahead and go over there. They get the test. He brings it back. He reworks it so that now it's certain white people, not even all white people, but certain white people, of what you use by the colonial construct white. And how you doing, Trailer? Thanks for being on. That certain white people would be at the top. Certain other people would be at the bottom, including white and red and yellow and black and whatever color group you want to put them in, as if these things are real, but whatever. And then he said, well, he sends it to every state in the country and says, we need to make sure that this is instituted to make sure that we stay on top. this Linnaean doctrine, this Darwinistic doctrine. That's what they did. And so now you still take IQ tests to this day so that to make sure that you think like the elites want you to think, not because the elites even really care if you know anything or not, but it's about working for them. Because remember, Thomas Jefferson, he starts kind of leading us towards schools, but really we don't get the school system like we have it today until the Rockefellers. Rockefeller starts making sure that school is mandatory, or that people coming together having to be under what he deems mandatory. Why? Because people, he's the richest man in the world, and he wants everybody to work for him and for his family. This is legacy building. So when you go to school, you don't go to school to build yourself, you go to school to build the Rockefellers. You go to school to build up the Rothschilds. You go to school to make sure that you're building up Mitt Romney and his company. You go to school to make sure that you build up the Senate. You go to school so that you'll have it indoctrinated, ingrained in your brain, right? The stuff like the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance. My allegiance is what? To the flag. The flag means a standard. To the standard of the United States of America, which nowadays is just straight up a corporation. And to the republic, that means the kingdom, for which it stands. That means that it's you fight for the kingdom, you'll stand for the kingdom. You are what? One nation, right? Under God, Germanic deity, or really, if you go into the obelisk, right, George Washington's monument, and Columbia on top of the Capitol building, and then Heruda comes out of it, you'll know what time it is. But under God, indivisible. We don't want any division. We'll fight you whether you're an enemy that's domestic, foreign, or even domestic. If you try to come against this, we will beat you down. Indivisible, with liberty. Liberty means we have you at liberty for certain things, and what? Justice for all, but for all who? All people that are bowing down to the standard. It's not about freedom for everybody. It's about freedom who bow down to that standard, that republic, that kingdom. They told you what time it was. You've been raised in that oppressive behavior and are trying to figure out why people are saying, why are you oppressing me? You say, I didn't oppress you in anything. You're part of a system that says bow down to what we say or nothing else. Got all these old former soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, DOT, etc., telling you that what the country is not what they fought for. No, it's you were told you were fought for something else. You were fighting for something else. That's not what you fought for. Former military member, by the way, before people try to thrash me on that. You were told, joined at 17, was ready to shed blood. You were told one thing, but it doesn't mean that's what you fought for. You were told it was about justice for all. But I've seen too many people get injustice. Part of what I did in the military was I was a police officer. I know what it is that I'm talking about, not just some stuff that was on the base. I had to deal with domestic stuff as well. You got to be trained to be able to do both in some areas. You might have to go to an officer's house and try to figure out the officer that basically can say you can get fired, but the officer might be putting his hands on his wife. What you do? This system is jacked up. That's why I tell people when it comes to police officers, and how you doing, Sister Monica? That's why I tell people when it comes to police officers, look, police officers can be great people, but that system is jacked up, ate up. How does the police officer make sure that he treats the mayor the same way that he treats the crackhead? How is it even set up for that? And if he does so, is his boss going to fire him because he treated the mayor like he treated the crackhead? The mayor might kill his wife. The crackhead might just be homeless on the street. The crackhead going to go to prison. The mayor, they're going to give every chance he can. That's the system you're in. It's oppressive. So you got a bunch of people who are turning out not only to be oppressed, but to be oppressive, because the oppressed become oppressive. The depressed become depressive. And the recessed, the people who've broken away from themselves, become recessive. They don't want people to become themselves either. And now what's happened once again is now you've made concessions. You keep saying, well, it's okay to do it. It's just the way it is. Well, we'll never get better. Well, there's only two parties. Well, like at some point you got to make a confession. Either you keep confessing their logic, or you'll say there's got to be a greater standard. And I'm here to report to you that there's a greater standard. That's the main goal today. You don't have to wear it no more. Take the chain off. You don't have to be a United States citizen. Take the chain off. Somebody says, oh, you're a citizen of the United States. No, become a non-citizen national. Become a private citizen, not a public citizen. Take the chain off. That's all we're saying. Stop being a citizen and be a sovereign. And link with other sovereigns so that you can build kingdom. Because even though you don't think they're kings, guess what? The head of a state, by definition, is the same as a king, the same as a queen, the same as an emperor, the same as a monarch. They are a monarch, but they're a fake monarch because they are ran by the corporations. They're ran by the owners. Corporations, by definition, are treated the same as a person, or right? So if a corporation is treated the same as a person and is an owner of a corporation, that means that that person, that all the people who work together as one person are owned, that person is the head. It's a biblical principle, but you don't like the Bible, you don't like spirituality, you don't like law, so you don't like to put those together. But that's what it is. And you can take it off. You don't have to wear it no more. Just trying to tell you. You said Maxwell's father was a part of Mossad, owned the T. McGraw-Hill textbooks. You said they made you learn Spanish too. Praise Jehovah for deliverance. Yeah, you ain't even in your language. You can't even learn languages that are yours, not even indigenous ones. The United States Corporation, most people don't know about it. Thanks for sharing the live, Sean. Uh-oh, sorry, it just made me scroll up. I'm trying to keep up. If I miss your comment, please forgive me. If you need to say it again, or just make sure maybe it's posted to where it like pops up for me, feel free. But I apologize. I'm trying to keep up. Thanks for the agreement, J. Riz and Alana. How you doing? You said then they teach this rhetoric to the confused. It's brought to you by the United States. Yeah. And it's for you to work. It's for you to job out, not even to work. If you were in your work, it'd be different. You're in your job. A job is where you toil. So in your mind, you think that toiling for somebody is where it's at. You can't wait to tell somebody I worked for this company 40, 50 years and they gave me a gold watch on my way out the door. And now that I'm old, maybe I have enough energy left to travel. Right. That's what the mindset is. You said the system isn't flawed, it's designed this way. Well, I mean, yeah, it's designed to be exactly what it is, most definitely. Now, I would still say that we have a flawed logic to allow it to happen, but yeah, sure, of course. The system is working. We say that all the time. System's working exactly the way it's supposed to. And so the question is, are you going to keep being? See, the system doesn't just start just with getting the land. The system starts before you get the land. How do you think? So I'm with you on that. Yeah. How you doing, planting seeds? Uh, it's a station in Germany, bittersweet times. Oh, are you worse stationed in Germany, bittersweet times? Okay. You said a weird feed. Is something happened with the feed? Is something messing up on the feed? I apologize. I can't see anything from this end. If something's happening, I apologize. You said yes, all the system is mainly were made to oppress us. Definitely as Yashel for sure. They believe the IRA went ballistic on their oppressors and that got them seats at the table. To a certain extent, yeah, but even still, remember, there's Northern Ireland, which means England's still there, and then there's Ireland, right? There's a Londonderry, and there's Free Dairy. There's two mindsets at the same place. So it's uneasy truce, but it's still a truce, and they're still basically taking. By the way, the United Kingdom still exists. Not only do they still have colonies, but they still are in Ireland, they still are in Wales, they're still in Scotland, and a lot of those people want to be free, but it hasn't started the mindset. Because you can fight against something. A lot of people have fought for freedom and still ended up right back in slavery. You said, hence your son came out of the military. Yeah, it's a difficult road to become a private citizen. It is, but the more you do it, it actually, you get used to it. Said, how long does it take to be sovereign? It just takes a lifestyle. Because even if you get it done on paperwork, even on paper, when it's done, you still have to make sure you live it. Like it's like anything else. Like if you say if you say you work for a company on paper, but you never show up to work, like you get fired. So if you say you're sovereign, but you're still sending your children to public stuff, your children still go to public school. You're still making sure that you're signing off on public documents, you're still using your social security number and all that stuff. You're still using your birth certificate with this, that, whatever. Like, yeah, if you don't get your DS-11 forms and things like that done. So it's a lot of different things. It's not just one thing. It's a lifestyle. You have to live sovereign, not just write sovereign, so to speak. You said if corporations count as a person, if they are at fault, can't a whole company be arrested? Well, in a sense, they would come after the owner or they would come after the company. The company sometimes even can be considered a trust. So there can be a lot of different things. But either way, what I'm trying to get at is the system. You got to realize that it's just think like before we talk about can the whole company be arrested, right? And I don't know how valid. I don't know how valid the mentality is as far as what I'm trying to go to and what I'm trying to decipher here. But if you're talking about like the company being arrested or whatever, like, are they going to hold everybody who's part of the person? Like, no, you don't do that. You have to break it down within there. But at the same time, like, they're considered to be a person. Just look up the definition. Even if you don't want to go lawful, just Google the definition and read the definitions that come up. You will discover real quick that, oh yeah, like it's considered to be a person. Matter of fact, I don't know if I got rid of it. I might have gotten rid of it. We did that for early rise of Bible study session on Monday. I still have it. I think, I don't know if it's going to pop. Yep. Corporation. A company or a group of people authorized to act as a single entity, in parentheses, what does it say? Legally a person, and recognized as such in law. So if in law, your company is considered to be a corporation, right? So it's a group of people, or it could even be a group of people elected to govern a city, town, or borough. So in NYC, you got 5 boroughs. If you got anybody that's supposed to govern each borough, guess what you would call that? A corporation. Hey, you got people in your ward that are over your ward. You got a city council. You got mayors, governors, presidents. Guess what you would call them? By definition, corporation. And they're supposed to work as one people to make sure that they tell you what to do. So police officers, they don't work for the people, which you think you're part of anyways, because people, by definition, doesn't mean it has to be you included. You have to be included in a people. But nevertheless, you think that the police work for the people, but they work for a person, a corporation, who lays down law to you. And so that's what happens. So now we get into Blue Lives Matter stuff, and we're not careful. And people go, well, you should support the blue and all this stuff like that. The blue don't even work for themselves. They don't work for you. They're not trying to do their best or they might be even in their mind thinking they can do their best for you. But there's people on here who are former police officers besides myself. They'll tell you out their mouth that they've seen a lot of jacked up stuff and stuff that they thought they could change, couldn't change, made reports, didn't make reports, try still to this day to police the police and all that stuff. But it's a system. It's systemic. It's systematic. Somebody put it in place on purpose. It's systematic. And somebody told you, or somebody put it there so that it runs on its own. It's systemic. It's doing exactly, as somebody said earlier, it's doing exactly what they're supposed to do. You said your child is in a visual art school and the program has a demonic sign, had to look it up. And it said to evoke the devil and erase memory. So do we still have time to prepare the way the country is? How long is, oh, you talking to Sister Cynthia? Okay. So I'm just saying, like, this stuff that we're saying, once again, like when you look it up, it's not, it's not rant, but we're once again, we're in change. We're so used to being in change. We're so used to being abused and being abusive, therefore, right? And we made concessions for it and to it. You said, so will it never change? This system is not designed to change. So that's why you got to come out of the system. It's not good. Like when you're in the land of your captivity, it's like Stockholm syndrome. We keep going. Like it's partially Stockholm syndrome. I'm not saying you particular, Sister Darla. I'm just saying in general, it's partially Stockholm syndrome, right? Like it's partially Stockholm syndrome, right? Like we keep going. Well, in the Constitution it states, but that Constitution was not written for you. It was written for your oppressor. That's right. Come out of it, my people. Like you can come out. Like it. We have Stockholm syndrome. We literally think that we are considered to be we the people. When the Constitution and when the Declaration of Independence were written, when the Bill of Rights were written, you were not considered to be a person. I'm just saying. So we keep going back to the person who didn't consider you to be a people, let alone a person, consider you to be property. You think that 3/5 compromise meant that you were 60% of a person. 3/5 compromise actually meant that they were willing to pay 60% on you as property in the South and 40% on you as property in the North. It had nothing to do with you being an actual person because you were not a human being. They said they will pay this. They bartered and said right and said we will pay this much for this property, not for these people, this property. That's why Willie Lynch letter, it never even refers to you as a person, does it? Always refers to you as an N-word. N-word male, N-word female, compares you to a horse, says you must be broken in like a horse, talks about ripping the leader's body apart and making sure that they tar and feather him beforehand, and making sure that they are exposed and stripped naked and beaten down, and that the other men are going to be beaten not to death but to the point of death because they represent great economics and all the different things or whatever. And they do this in front of the women and children so that the women will not look at their men as being somebody who's willing to be looked up to, but they'll actually eat out of their hand just like the female horses do. And they say that basically they will give into the oppression and they'll raise their children in reverse roles so that their children will survive, because they'll be afraid that their little boy will be treated like the man that they saw messed up, and they'll be afraid that their daughter will be messed up if she doesn't eat out of the master's hand as well. Oppression. Oppressive behavior that's led to people that had to live in that long enough that they've been dealing with depression, and they've been in that depression so long that they started to go into recession. You've taken a break from who you are, and you started to go backwards. Matter of fact, not started. We've been going backwards. We keep talking about how far we've come, but look at yourself financially. You're in the same situation pre-Civil War, wealth-wise, as you were beforehand. You made the wealth that the slave master had. You still make the wealth that the slave master has. You only had less than 0.5% of the wealth of the country in 1865. You still have less than 0.5% of the wealth in 2022, about to be 2023. So might as well say 2023. Yeah, and it's by design. They're bleeding us dry. That's why our goal should not be to uplift the oppressor. Stockholm syndrome. Our goal should not be to lift the United States corporation. That corporation deals with a group of people that are willing to work together as one, but there's still an owner. There's still a head. Say keep voting Democrat. Hey, Malcolm X taught me a long time ago. Minister Malcolm X taught me a long time ago. That he's not a Republican, he's not a Democrat, and he's not even an American. He got sense enough to know it. He also taught me that just because you say that you're in a diner doesn't mean that you can call me a diner unless you let me dine. One of the most powerful statements I ever heard in my life. Right? Just because I go into a diner and I'm sitting down with everybody, if everybody has stuff on their plate and I'm not allowed to eat what's on their plate, or I might even have an empty plate, but everybody else is allowed to eat, even though I pay the same money, if not more money, but they get to get it either for free or they pay less money than I did, or maybe even the same. But if I'm not dining inside a diner, but everybody else is dining, by definition, they are diners, but I'm not. Just because it says on the sign diner when I walk into the diner, it does not mean that everybody in the diner is a diner. So don't get it twisted. If you're not able to do by the way, what the Declaration of Independence says, if you're not able to make sure that you can free yourself, let's go ahead and add Marcus Garvey into this, right? You can free or emancipate yourself from mental slavery, because none but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear, right? And Bob Marley made that thing line up. As far as the rest of Garvey's speech, have no fear of atomic energy because none of them can stop the time. Now go back to the Declaration of Independence. It says that when you are dealing with a tyrant, or when you are dealing with people that are oppressed, those people should have the right to rise up and to separate and to set up their own government. That's what the slave master said. But when you say I want to do that, they say you're a reverse racist, and they say that you're trouble. Why? Because the slave master, he said that for himself. See, because while he was talking about a tyrant person who was trying to enslave them because they were trying to tax them, and anybody knows if you pay taxes, you're in debt. If you're in debt, you're a slave. So since they were trying to make them slaves now, they didn't take too kindly to that. They had never had to pay taxes before, so they didn't take kindly to that. Meanwhile, though, you had slaves. So they didn't care about freedom for everybody. Matter of fact, read the Declaration of Independence, what it has to say about the bond, the slave, and also what it has to say about what they call savages, right? Which were natives. By the way, another word for natives and black folk was Negro. This system has never been set up the way that you might think it is. But once again, when you're obsessed with the oppressor and you have oppressive behavior, you form Stockholm syndrome. And so even though you want to get out, you keep looking to you keep saying, hey, let me go. Let me go. They kidnapped you for a reason. Sometimes it's for a ransom. We're going to hold them until there's some type of payment. If not, it's better for me to hold on to this person and control this person and manipulate this person than it is to make sure I just give them up for free. You said it's time to get that inward reparation from the Most High, start being salvaged and come out. And that's what salvation is. Salvation is everyday work, salvaging, getting back to our original intent. And we've never seen ourselves, like I said earlier, we've never seen ourselves at zero. We've seen ourselves as negative. We sometimes see ourselves as positive as long as we're cloaked in oppression, depression, and recession, right? But it's time to stop making that concession and start confessing that I need to take these chains off so that I can make sure that now I can actually take proper evaluation of who I am. It's time. It's time. Yeah, why vote for a system that's not taking care of you? It's time for us to start saying that. Sometimes we do fear that we might just be great. There's a lot of people that are afraid to jump out that, and there's a lot of people that are afraid to jump out, and there are a lot of people that are afraid to open up their parachute, or afraid their parachute won't open. But what if you jump and your parachute does? Hope leads to faith leads to manifestation. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. If you knew then what you knew now. hmm And that's the problem. See, even part of that is, hey, and that's why we got to make sure the next generation. That's why I say, if you guys can, as much as possible, even if it's not letting them listen to me, have the next generation listen to some of this stuff. See, if somebody told me about investing when I was a child, like, cryptocurrency wouldn't have been a big deal. So my wife and I could have invested in cryptocurrency when it was still in its beginning stages. And if we had, even when it went down, because it'll go back up, it's volatile like that. But even when it went down, before it went down again, we could have gone ahead and been up. When it hit 60,000 a coin, we would have been set for the rest of our lives. And we were this close. If I knew what it really was, if I knew what investing was, if I knew how stuff really moved, if I knew even if it's volatile, it's about to go up for a minute, I would have fought so hard to make sure that we did that. If I knew about investing, we wouldn't have fought so hard to make sure that we spent so much money on multiple places. We were trying to decide to get married and finally spending a whole bunch of money for this one place. And it was a nice event and everything, but we could have had, a whole bunch of those people we don't talk to anymore at all. Hadn't talked to for years before, ain't really talking to no more. And we could have gone ahead and made sure that we had land and stuff like that beforehand, so that now instead of it being a couple spots we probably could have had 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. Had some spots already where we wouldn't have to be trying to raise money to see can SOC come there. We could have just said, hey, we already got some stuff. Y'all come on. Y'all come on and help. Y'all come on and grow food. We didn't see. Now is the time to make sure we start giving it to our children. And now it's time for us to repent and start getting this stuff together as fast as possible. Every day, you got to fight against years and years and years of oppressive behavior and oppressive mindset that was put into you. And we're walking around with depression, not even knowing that we're depressed. It's time for us to start coming under depression. See, somebody needs to hear me today. You're walking around and you're so used to being depressed that you don't even realize it. Your family has never even seen you at your best because you've been depressed when you met them, when you had them. Right? They've never seen you outside depressed. Some of your family members have never seen you deal with grief, with guilt, with anger, with frustration, because you always so stoic. I never see them move. I've never seen their Facebook. I've never seen them cry. That's because they won't deal with things. It's time for you to see. It's time for them to see. It might be time for them to see you, and then they say, "Wow, you're crying. What's really wrong?" Where they can actually help you for the first time. While you're walking around saying, "Nobody will help me." Nobody knows you need help because you've been taught to wear them chains and to wear them well. Make them stylish. My mama, she did well. No man had to help her with anything. She did well. Nobody could to pay any bill for us. She did well. Nobody was there to help her. She did well. It's it that look. Hey, I'm glad you made it through with chains, but baby girl, that is not a Versace dress right now, right? I don't even know who is what. That ain't a Prada bag you're wearing. That's a chain. You got that Emperor's New Clothes thing going on. Somebody told you that was beautiful, but that's a chain. Now, because you're beautiful, we still deal with you, right? But that what you're wearing is not beautiful. That's a chain. even at your basic neck. But see, everybody else who's willing to say that you're beautiful when you're naked, you say, no, I can't take off the chain and be who I am and show anybody who I am, and then start putting on the clothes of the Most High, right? And I don't mean that in any perverted manner, because people take stuff all types of ways, right? But I'm saying you're so busy wearing the chain, they destroy the community, and you just stay in the destroyed community. Wear the chain. We're supposed to be one, but we don't become together. We fight against each other. It's a chain. Yeah, we're at war, always been and always will be. Yeah, well, yeah, always will be. But once again, see, that's why. How do we get out of it? The weapons of our warfare are different. Because here's another thing. This is the secret. This is the secret sauce. They're in chains too. They just they house Negroes. I know you think they white people, they're traitors, they're this community, they're that community. They slaves too. But they fight for the house. Because if you live in the attic, it's better than living, outside, having to walk 5-10 miles to be able to get to the master's house, walk back and forth every night. It's better. It's easier. It's better. But they still slaves. That's the trick of the enemy. That's the trick of the enemy. You've never dealt with those problems. Never things weren't that problematic till you came to America. Yeah, but even in other places, they still slaves. It's just different. It moves a little different, but it's still. Even a lot of our African countries, unfortunately, a lot of people are dealing with the chains. They just deal with them differently, or even in countries, such as England and Spain. Well, Spain is a different monster, So is so is oh gosh, we're in Leopold, Belgium. You go to Belgium, you'll find out it's problematic over there too. But it's a lot of different things in these places. But it's set up. It's a system. It's a spirit. Yeah, a lot of our people can't see how they're being held back. And once again, though, if you wear it, you're used to it being stylish. See, oppression, depression, and recession have become fashionable. So what do you do when it's fashionable to wear oppression? What do you do when it's fashionable? Like, think about it. It's just like TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, social media. Yes, I get the irony that I'm on social media talking to you about this, but think about it. What is it? Um, what are people willing to do now just for a couple clicks, for a couple likes? Somebody that only gets 2 likes on the video and then beats themselves up and they get 100 likes all of a sudden. They go, oh, okay, I'll beat myself up. You got JJ Watt, who's about to retire from football. Y'all know for the longest time on social media, he's been doing all types of wild stuff that could probably end his career. Probably part of the reason why but he likes a lot of stuff. You listen to a lot of things he says or does, or things he'll put out there. He's always looking for, please like me, please like me, please like me, please like me. That's his mindset. He got a great heart, but his mindset is, please like me, please like me. That's what was going on. Right. And y'all give me a second if y'all can, if you're on TikTok, especially, give me a second. I'm gonna disappear. Like, give me maybe 30 seconds. How about that? 30 seconds, I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna be right back. All right. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Figure out what's going on with this message. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Well, hopefully you guys can hear me in other platforms. And those who are on the podcast, thanks for being on. We appreciate you. Check out the rest of it on Facebook or YouTube later. Thank you so much. Right. So was just checking something out. Apparently there was apparently for some of us is doing some weird thing where I'm breaking up real bad or some other things. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. But yeah, you have to realize like we're in the midst of this stuff, and now it's time for us to take off the chain. The theme for today is you don't have to wear it no more, right? So my question to you is, what have you been wearing that you realize you don't have to take it no more? Not just recent. I'm talking about today. Is there anything that you could take out? See, give no thought for tomorrow. For tomorrow will take care of itself. Sure, put your 10-year plan in place and all that stuff. What break it down? What can you do today? We can't do this. We can't do. What can you do today? What can you do today? What are you able to do today? Okay, if you're gonna stop paying taxes, that works. Just make sure that you're a non-citizen national. Then you won't have to worry about any backlash. If you're gonna deal with this stuff, be lawful, right? But what can you do today? What is it that you can do today to make sure that it's easier tomorrow? Stop buying into America. Okay. No lottery tickets. Okay. By the way, even that stuff, we don't even think about that. That's oppressive. You know how oppressive and even suppressive they are with that information? You know how wild that is? Watch this. They will, hmm, hallelujah. Um, they will tell us about the lottery and stuff, the dangers of the lottery and all that stuff. You know, the lottery used to be something that was illegal, just like weed, right? Y'all know this, right? Like the lottery used to be something that was illegal. It used to be illegal. They used to call it taking numbers. I used to take numbers as a child. I started doing it for sports stuff. I was a little bookie, my little bad self. I used to take bets. Did it for a while. It became too much to deal with, especially when people started making larger bets, and I didn't really know how to do stuff based off of would somebody actually win or not. So it didn't work too long because I didn't know how to do it right. But yeah, you got to ask yourself a question like where did that even come from? Now you can bet online and all that stuff, and now football straight up doesn't care. But it's because football can make money off of it. The corporation can make money off it. The owners, these terms that we're using, they can make money off it, right? But that stuff used to be illegal, lotto and all that. You weren't supposed to play lotto. Wasn't even called lotto back then. Now you call it the lottery, but it used to be illegal, just like weed used to be illegal, just like drinking used to be illegal. You remember that? Maybe you don't. Maybe but a lot of these movies you watch, a lot of these people that you watching now, they made money off of the stuff that was illegal, and then they legalized it again when they got people in the office. That's how you got the Kennedys, right? Like people don't know this. Osama bin Laden and them made their money off opium. What does America make a lot of their money off of right now? You said drinking was illegal. That doesn't sound right. Well, you got to do some research. You never heard of prohibition? There's a whole amendment that they wrote and then got rid of. They literally made an amendment that said that drinking was not right. I think you just need to look up some stuff historically. But to drink alcohol was illegal. Okay, that's not even that hard to find out, right? Go look up what's the name. Matter of fact, here's a quick one for you. Go look up the movie. It's got Tom Hardy and what's his name, Shia LaBeouf or whatever, Shia LaBeouf, whatever his name is. Go look up that movie, whatever that's called, and watch it. That's a whole movie of prohibition and people from Chicago and police officers and other people coming in and the feds trying to make money off of it or whatever, right? Making that shine. That's wild. I didn't know that people didn't know that. That's one of those things that's like I wouldn't expect somebody to be like, "No, that doesn't sound right." Like, no, look it up. NASCAR has some starts in that as well. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff in that. But once again, we're so used to abusive behavior. Lawless is the name of the movie. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. The movie Lawless. Yep. All that is just, basically, and it's showing you the rough side of trying to basically, them being gangsters and them being in gangs and trying to have alcohol. Now, alcohol wasn't illegal up until people made a movement on it, and people started doing this whole grassroots thing, and then the government got involved because they were like, we want votes. So then to get votes, they started doing this stuff. But everybody even knew, even with it, it got to a point where they couldn't do anything because everybody knew everybody was drinking and couldn't do anything. You can't arrest everybody. So eventually people that were in charge of the movement started putting their own children and people in positions of power in your government. And they became the leaders of your government. Right? People wear these chains and you wear them well. So you're told, this is real, this is reality. You're told. Now Ronald Reagan, who everybody voted for, right? Twice. And he was the first person to use the slogan, make America great again. This is the chains that people wear. You're supposed to wear chains and wear them well. So they started, hey, say no to drugs. Bill Clinton comes in. Hey, make sure that make sure there's 3 strikes and you're out, and we're going to take away habeas corpus to where even if we as the government do you dirty, you can't go back and say, hey, they did me dirty. We're going to take away your constitutional right. Hey, George Bush comes in, no child left behind while leaving children behind on top of that. Here comes Obama. Obama in here actually allowing you to eat food that's not correct, making sure you're looking out for everybody else, and then not really looking out for us as far as these things or whatever. And then says the prison that he put you in, he says we won't let the government make money off of it anymore. We'll say that they can only be private, meaning that now corporations own all the prisons. Right? Then Trump comes in behind that, and while saying he's the blackest president to ever exist, is out there making sure that he's doing things and has alt-right people in his cabinet. And then you have Joe Biden, who lies to y'all because Bernie Sanders, who y'all like, said he was going to go ahead and give you guys reparations. And Biden said, oh, yeah, we'll do that. And then hires Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris told you guys he was racist. Meanwhile, she was locking up black people, right, for trying to put their children in schools that weren't in their district, was locking up mamas and daddies, especially mamas, right? Married to a white person, didn't want to identify as black, but then all of a sudden Wakanda comes out, she's running for president, she starts saying Wakanda forever, which is a demonic symbol that they do, but nevertheless, starts telling y'all this, that, or whatever, standing with Disney, right, making money on black folk and stuff. Then all of a sudden she gets called out on her racism against her own people, which she says that she's not a part of because she considers herself to be Indian, not necessarily to be African, even though Indians and Africans are the same anyways. But nevertheless, she all of a sudden gets called out on it. Then the person that's going to run with Joe Biden, she messes around and gets caught being the DA that let out the person over and over again that eventually led to George Floyd having a knee on his neck for all that time, 9 minutes or whatever, 8 minutes or whatever time is. And so therefore they kick her out. And so they know that black people need to vote for Biden, and people don't like Biden. Remember that whole hashtag, please don't make me vote for Joe Biden, that all these little young white Democrats were singing, not even Republicans, Democrats were talking about, please don't make me vote for Joe Biden, because they'd rather vote, because they're not going to vote Trump. So they got y'all on these politics, these polls, these opinions, they're messing with y'all. So now they say, okay, they have the white woman come out because she done messed up and got caught. So they have her come out with a statement. Well, I think that I shouldn't run this time, but I do think that we should have a black woman run for president. All of a sudden, what happens? A couple weeks later, is Kamala Harris going to run with Joe Biden, the same Joe Biden that she said was racist? Sure enough, now all of a sudden she's running with him, and we're going to get this together. And hey, I don't pay attention to what people have to say about my past and this and that. Me and Joe are going to get together. And then they win. She says, "We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe. We did it, Joe." And then after they finish that, Joe Biden goes and he says, oh, yeah, he gets caught talking to congressmen saying, all that stuff we said we were going to say about reparations, we're not going to do any of that. As Malcolm X said, it's because we're chumps, political chumps. All they got to do is give you something to be emotional over, because we have no standard. We have nothing to be in our minds. And we have nothing to stand up for ourselves. We don't want to put a community together that says that we're supposed to be for ourselves, right? I could go further back. By the way, if you notice, we were going Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. I forgot George Bush in there too. The first George Bush that just extended what he was doing. And by the way, the same thing I was talking about with the opioid stuff and how we want to make what's his name a terrorist and say he blew up America, this and that or whatever, with Osama bin Laden. George Bush and had his children growing up around Osama bin Laden, and George Bush's people had made sure when George Bush was part of the CIA. Y'all remember George Bush was over the CIA? That's how he got the gig. That's how he helped Reagan to make sure that they maneuvered in the way they were doing when they were going ahead and causing a whole war where they were literally taking guns from Iran, or selling weapons to Iran, taking that money, making sure that they were flooding the streets with crack, and they were giving it to the Contra, who were enemies of democracy. But Ronald Reagan liked them more. That's why Reagan almost got impeached. Remember, he had to go and he had to come in front of the nation. He had to be asked questions. Y'all remember that? Y'all forgot? He was going to make America great again too. He was the first person to say it. It was the people who liked seeing Ronald Reagan do all this stuff to people that had Donald Trump run and use the same "Make America Great Again" slogan to make people start listening to him. That's why some people, the old heads, when they heard "Make America Great Again," that's why they started tripping, because they were like, we already went through Reaganomics. We already went through Reagan putting crack in the streets. And literally, they didn't even have the decency to just lower the price of cocaine and put that in the streets. They said, we're going to make something that tears lives apart. We're going to call it crack, and we're going to put it in the streets. And we're going to put it in every city. We're going to flood it, and we're going to flood it in black neighborhoods. Now, they messed around because eventually it hit white neighborhoods too. But that was the goal of it. And before that, how did Reagan even get into office? Because while Nixon was the president, Reagan was getting all this publicity because he was killing off Black Panthers, which goes back to they were killing off people in 1968. Remember, Fred Hampton in Chicago dies the same year that in the South, Martin Luther King Jr. is going to be killed in the hospital bed. He wasn't killed by the gunshot. He was killed in the hospital bed when he was smothered over his head. Going back to 1965, when Malcolm X is going to be killed. Going back to 1963, when JFK is going to be killed, whose family, once again, goes back to Jack Kennedy, who was actually a supporter of Hitler and helped to make sure that we didn't get involved in the war, while his money had came from when they were bootleggers. But we don't see the system. We wear these chains so well, and we've gotten so used to them that we don't even say, hey, why am I wearing chains? Whose chains are these? Who's putting this on me? We just think it's as simple as black, white, Republican, Democrat. It's the chain is so embedded in your arm that a lot of you can't even see the difference between your the chain and your skin. A lot of us can't see the difference. People fighting for Biden, and people were surprised when Biden said stuff like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. He's the same person that said we got to lock up all these black people and work with Hillary Clinton to ensure that you would be called a super predator, so that Bill Clinton could go kill an autistic black man that was on death row for something that he didn't do, probably, to make sure that he could tell y'all he was tough on crime so that Republicans, Democrats would vote for him. Do you not remember, or did you not care? Were you not taught? Either way, oppression, depression, recession, these are chains that we wear well, too well, in fact. There should be a certain point where we say we're done wearing the chains. Right? There should be a certain point where we say we're done wearing the chains. Right? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is intimacy with something. Being married to, you got to learn this stuff. We're married to too much stuff that kills us. We're too knowledgeable about stuff that wears us out. We're too knowledgeable about fighting against one another. Men ain't nothing, women ain't nothing. Our problem ain't each other. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. That's why we've been saying it over and over again for months now. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. The problem is not each other. The problem is we don't know the origin of this stuff, the principalities. We don't know the kingdom, the principality. We don't know the mindset of a king. See somebody in the street, what up, king? But don't know how to carry the crown. You know, the Vietnam War was something that was going on since before Eisenhower. Right? Like that's how long it was going on. We only talk about the Vietnam War around the time of Ali and stuff. It was going on since before Eisenhower, y'all, and it's still going on. People still over there. You know, they still have guerrilla warfare over there on both sides. See, we don't have to wear it no more. We can take this stuff off. We can decide that enough is enough. This is not something of antiquity that we must make sure that we keep around because of the value that it that it demands, and the stuff that it'll change our lives. It changed our lives to take off the chain. This is not some vase that's accruing value just by it staying in your living room. This is an elephant in the room that's messing up your floor, that's smelling up your house, that keeps messing with your foundation. It's time to let that elephant out. It's already too cramped. You already got too much clutter in there in the first place. Get that elephant out there. You know, we're trying to hang on to this stuff as if it's ours to hang on to. It's not ours. It's not ours. Nobody told the people of this country who try to run it to say that you should run other people and you should take other people's lives and you should take their languages and you should force them to be what you want them to be. None of us did that. That was none of our responsibility. This is where they mess up with us. This is where they mess up with me personally, because I know what it is to fight for somebody, put your life on the line and think that you might die and have to worry about that every day. Who's going to come through? Is somebody going to try to blow something up? What's going to happen if my brethren doesn't make it over here, doesn't make it over there? How can we survive this? How can we make it through this? How can we make it through that? Like, I've been there, done that. And I did, and I didn't even realize that I was doing it for something that really was for people that didn't care about me or my family or my people. Willing to tell me to put my life on the line and wouldn't do the same for me. As soon as it was easy, as soon as it was all right, as soon as it made sense to be able to say that, hey, we're done making money off you, we're done doing this or whatever, the stuff that you're supposed to do to help me, help my family, help my brethren, help the veterans that are in the street, all that, you ain't had nothing for us. But then get mad if I tell people the truth and I tell people we have to be better. You can take this off should you choose to accept it. You don't have to wear it no more. These chains are not fashionable. And welcome everybody who's joining us on Facebook right now. These chains are not fashionable. They're only fashionable to the fashionista. They're only fashionable to the one who designed them. But they're not fashionable to us. How you doing, Lorraine? How you doing, Chef? Was just thinking about you guys the other day, was praying for you guys over there in Philly. You know, these chains are not fashionable. They're only fashionable to the one that says they're fashionable. It's like when we talk about clothing. Why do you think your clothing, it gets tighter and tighter, even for men? Why do you think your clothing is something that's even, is stuff that like doesn't seem to fit women correctly? Why do you think your clothing is like that? Because a lot of your clothing is not designed by women. A lot of your clothing, most of your clothing is still designed or is still looked at as being the standard of it comes from people who don't even, are not attracted to women. It's like when we have a lot of talks. Do you know a lot of these talks that we have when it comes to men and women? And I hear a lot of stuff that sisters say. I start paying attention because I'm like, it sounds like it works. But then I start thinking about it, I'm like, oh, they listen to men that aren't married. They listen to men that aren't attracted to women. So they say, oh, I want to have a gay friend because my gay friend, you know, I get the perks where we don't have to sleep together, do nothing, but he gives me all the scoop and he tells me what it is. And he showed me what it is to be around men. He's telling you what it is to be around men that aren't attracted to you. What are we doing? But see, when you're oppressed long enough, you keep looking for oppressive behavior to direct you, oppressive prisms to direct you. Right? You're looking for something that's oppressive. I'm just saying, like, yeah, think about that. Think about the reality of that. As how many of us, how many of our sisters look for people to tell them how they should wear something, and those people are not even attracted to them. But we do that a lot in our lives. We do that a lot in our lives, where we look for people who are not attracted to who we really are to be the person to tell us who we are. Brothers, stop listening to people who are telling you they're high value men and they cannot hold on to one woman. These are people who, if you look at their stories and you listen to them, they will often tell you how they were never respected. Nobody ever liked them. They felt like they were the worst, this and that. So what did they do? They became conquerors. You were supposed to be more than a conqueror. Why are you following a conqueror? A conqueror is trying to make you follow his conquering spirit is the same type of brother who was so tired of being conquered, he just became what he hated. Well, if he became what he hated, then now he's giving that hate towards his children and towards his wives or his women or all these different people or whatever, and teaching you to be a hater. Then yeah, it's a power trip. It's not something that's going to bless you and your family. Now, how you doing, Short Circuit? You said tight fitted clothing is like wearing a straight jacket. Who put it on you? Hey, talking about gray sweatpants. Talking about I'm gonna show this. I'm gonna show that. Like as oppressive behavior. You know what used to happen? They put men who were slaves that they wanted to go ahead and do stuff with, even to the times of Greece and Rome. They put you in stuff that made your stuff stick out. You'll just sag your pants. But it used to be that they used to have to force you to wear that or put you in a mindset where you felt you had to wear it, even if you felt uncomfortable. Now you're not even uncomfortable with showing that you're a slave. They did that in San Quentin. San Quentin, they had you sag your pants so that it was known that you belonged to somebody. Now that person gets free from the physical prison, but they're still in chains in their mind, and they come out still sagging their pants while trying to tell you they a real N-word. But yeah, you acted like a real ignorant somebody when you're gonna tell me that you a real man, but I can see that you got signs that you weren't a real man, at least not for a moment in your life. And rather than repent of it, rather than look at it, rather than heal from it, rather than admit that it was an oppressive situation that had you be so depressed because people were literally recessing, breaking you away from yourself when they were breaking and entering into you. Somebody took something that was pure from you, but you can't admit that they did. So now that insecurity, that impurity, that vain imagination, and all this stuff that has you having to say you're the man, I got to be the more the man because of what they did to me in there. Now we got that thing all over the place because you won't deal with it. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Oh, it's dangerous. It's hurting folk. It's hurting folk, and we won't admit it. But today, like I said, today is the day you could take it off. You don't have to wear the chain no more. You don't have to wear it no more. Take it off. You said this is sadness to you so much because at some point we had to change for ourselves and not blame the history. Well, I mean that's fine and everything, but here's what you have to do. And by the way, I guess you've been listening for a while. So if you've noticed, I've said I'm not concerned about somebody else's reparations. I'm worried about inward reparations. If you've been listening long enough, you've heard me. I think I've seen your name up. So if you've been listening long enough, you probably have seen. And I made it a point to say that you got to take stuff. And by the way, take off the chain. Who takes off the chain? Am I saying they have to take off the chain? Of course not. So if we're going to take off the chain, right, then we have to admit first that we have chains and stop acting like these are clothing. This is not clothing. You're not supposed to be wrapped in infidelity. You're not supposed to be cloaked in insecurity, right? And even if somebody did something, fine, blame them for what they did, but don't blame them for you not making moves to come out of it. Learn if they created a system, learn how to deal with that system, but not be of it. No, she didn't. At least not with me. I gotta like we have to set a new standard, right? But we have to admit that we're under a poor standard now. If your whole thing is just, hey, those of you who make it out. And your version of making it out is I live like the oppressor, then so be it. I'm saying there's a better alternative to where a lot of us, matter of fact, 100% of us who choose to make it out together can support each other on our way out. That's what I'm saying. You hear what I'm saying? But we have to get out of this careful because we're still using the prism of the oppressor to be like, let's talk about why we're still oppressed. It's so sad that we oppress ourselves and that we're victims. But by definition, you can't be a victim without a victor. Somebody has to be victorious over you in order for you to be a victim. And I'm not shaming either side because even the victors, a lot of them are ignorant and are wearing that as a chain. See, because even the person that makes it to these levels, now guess what? They're only known by the chain that they wear. Let Donald Trump end up being on the street one day. What do you think? Do you think, matter of fact, Donald Trump would probably never get to the point where he end up on the street. He probably couldn't handle it. How you doing, Sister Valor? He's chained by what he is. There's a lot of people who are involved in alt-right stuff. Some of them know, hey, this stuff ain't really making sense, but guess what? This is how I make money. This is how I get my lifestyle. So I need to have cognitive dissonance. I need to be able to figure out both sides. Everybody's dealing with this chain. I'm just talking to those who would like to take it off today. Feel free. You said Trump works. What does that even mean? I guess Trump. I'm not a Republican or Democrat. We don't do that here, so you don't have to worry about that. Putting on that mask of oppression over here, or if you feel like it's a mask that you want to wear, well. But I'd rather just deal with the people. All right. Trump, Biden, Bush, Clinton, whomever. Right? They don't care about us. Their goal is not to take care of you. How you doing, Sister Mary? Thanks for being on Grand Rising Tea. Oh, okay. Yeah, praying for you, hoping all is well. I was going to check in with you afterwards. So if you don't answer because they're in surgery, I get it. But our goal is not to, my goal is not to come on here and be like, hey, let's make sure that we ask the oppressor to take care of us. If the person kidnapped you, why would I ask for the kidnapper to make sure that they taking care of me correct? They kidnapped you for a reason, and it wasn't for your gain. It was for theirs. There are kidnappers that feel bad when they see the kidnapped person going through something. So they might give you some food and some water, but they still gonna make sure you stay tied up or locked in a room, you know? So my goal is not to say, hey, I'm depending on the oppressor or we'll never come out the situation. I'm saying, hey, if you want to come out the situation, you got to leave. Do you have it in your heart to say enough is enough? Yeah, all of them are crooked. But do you have it in your heart to say enough is enough? I'm done. I'm out. Peace. Let's go. Let's roll out. Do you have it in your heart? Do you have it in your mind to do so? That's the question you have to ask. Right? And then after that, now not only do you have it in your passion in your heart, but now do you have it in your vision? Write down the vision and make it plain upon the tablets that those people that see it, that read it, they will come and they'll run with it. See, we got to be in position. The vision might not be for everybody. See, sometimes we be sitting up here, if I might be honest, now everybody should have a vision of their life to a certain extent, right? To a certain extent. But even as far as those things, well, that's fine. I'm not talking about shadow work, but that's fine. I get what you're saying. We're with each other on that. But as far as the vision is concerned, you might have something that's not your vision, but guess what? You're going to complete a vision. See, some of you have tools and things like that, and you're like, man, I got this in my life, and I got that in my life, and I got this. And sometimes I'll be waiting to tell you, there might be a vision out there for you, but everybody's always like, well, I got to have my vision. What's my vision? What's this? What about you being a puzzle piece for the community? You might not be able to see what somebody who's talking with somebody who's living with somebody who's got a certain position, whatever. You might not be able to see it. So guess what? That company or that group or that family, it might not be for you to be the person that everybody has to listen to you on. You might have to humble yourself in certain places. But you might have tools that person can't use. So they write out a vision and they make it plain. Matter of fact, maybe you might be the person who has the vision, but somebody else might be able to make your vision plain. And rather than saying, why are you always messing with it? Why you always got to change it? Why you always got to have me move this? They're trying to help you because they're saying, look, I know what you're saying, but you don't know how to say it. This is why you might need a life coach, a marital coach, somebody like that from time to time, as much as you swear that you don't need it. You need somebody sometimes to step in and be like, hey, this is what she actually means. When a woman says, you've never done this and that or whatever, what she's saying is it feels like you haven't done this in a very long time. Right? You might need somebody that when a man says, man, I'm done with this. I can't take this no more, whatever. What he's saying is in the moment, you put him in a position where it feels like everything that he's done is nothing because you keep saying his failures, but you never talk about what he does that's righteous. And if you would lead off with righteousness, he might be able to hear you talk about what he needs to be better in. Like you might need somebody to take the vision, right, and help you to make it plain. Oh, I like that. I was trying to figure out what you were saying for a second, short circuit. Because yeah, the vision or the vision, the glasses, they don't fit the chains. You need somebody to help you take the chains. That's a word right there. My greatness. That's a word right there. Somebody need to post that, tweet that, put that on the shirt. That yeah, the glasses don't even fit the chains. You try to see something. Oh, that's a word right there, right? But I'm just saying, you gotta realize like there's some stuff we got to take them chains off. We got to take these chains off. We emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Emancipate yourselves. See, Abraham Lincoln was not your emancipator. Emancipate yourselves. Bill Clinton was not your first black president, right? Emancipate yourself. Barack Obama was not supposed to make sure that he took care of you before he took care of the union and what the union wanted to happen. Emancipate yourselves. Ronald Reagan was not supposed to help you. He's supposed to help the corporations. Emancipate yourselves. Joe Biden been telling you since he told you that his mentor was somebody who tore black families apart. He been telling you that he ain't been about you, right? Emancipate yourselves. Hillary Clinton, y'all was keeping up for her, right? But she worked for a company as a lawyer who, in that company, Coretta Scott King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s wife, said, don't have nothing to do with them because they don't like you. Emancipate yourself. Malcolm X told you when you have to go and you have to ask your oppressor for a job, you're in bad shape. Emancipate yourselves. I don't know how far we got to keep all going. Emancipate yourselves. What you said, Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Emancipate yourselves. That's when it becomes problematic. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12, it says, wherefore, my beloved, that means David, right? David, Judah. So wherefore, beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. How you doing, Brother Elijah? Work out whose? Your own. With fear, respect, and trembling. You should even be afraid a little bit. Don't just put your hand on something without being like, ooh, how is this going to affect the community? How is it going to represent Yah? How is it going to represent my wife? How is it going to represent my husband? How are my children going to be affected by this? Taking off the chain, if you've had a chain on enough years, it's hard to deal with. You put a dog on a leash, right? Even a dog that you walk. I have, have a puppy now, and take her out for walks here and there, do things with her, whatever. And because of the way I've trained her, because she's a hound, so she wants to go hunting. She wants to go running after stuff. She wants to get in the worst places, stuff that you get fleas and all this stuff, whatever. I won't just let her go anywhere. She want to run after cars, all this stuff. She's a little puppy, right? So she's getting better, but she's trained to where a lot of times I'll shorten the leash. So in her mind, even when I'll release it, I won't let go of it. But when I let it hang some, I have to make certain movements because she's so stuck on me, the person that says move this way, move that way, or whatever. She's so stuck on what I do that if I'm standing next to her, she'll still think, even if I let go of it, sometimes I've tested a couple times, just let go of the leash for a second, see what she does. She still doesn't have it in her mind that, hey, I'm allowed to go past what the person is telling me I'm at liberty to do. But if I take the leash and I take a step forward, as soon as my foot starts to rise, she says, okay, it's time to move again. It's not in her mindset, nor should it be in her mindset, even if she was just in straight wolf mode. It's not in her mindset to say, hey, I'll just go ahead and do whatever. She's supposed to be checked. She's supposed to be. That's how she's raised at that point in life. And you have been raised like you're supposed to be checked. They've done tests and they've had dogs and chains and stuff, right? I know some of y'all aren't gonna like this, but I mean, I'm not the one that did the test. How you doing, Sister Beverly? But I'm just telling you, they've done tests before, and they've seen dogs that have been chained and aren't allowed to go past the circle their whole lives. So people come up to the edge of the circle, the dog is coming at him like he's gonna charge at him, but can't get past. Eventually, even when the chain is there, the dog will stop at a certain point because it doesn't want to get yanked anymore. but it knows it can't go past the circle. Eventually, over time, when you take away the leash, as aggressive as the dog is in the circle that it's allowed to be in, sound like our people, we really aggressive in certain circles. But when it's time to go past the circle and go at the enemy, go at something that's causing us confusion, go at something like making sure that we have financial restitution or that we're dealing with generational wealth, go past the boundary. When they take the chain off, you still won't leave because the chain is no longer around the dog or the person, even physically. But doggone it if that chain isn't around you mentally, spiritually. You see what I'm saying? Like we're not willing to have that conversation. He said maybe there's a corporate slave with the glasses. I mean, hey, you never know, right? But this is why, yeah, we need to learn culture. You got to learn a mindset. The problem with you has been the mindset. Same as elephants chained with chain. Yeah, elephants chained with the train with chains around their legs too. An elephant can break a chain. It can break a rope. But then when they're baby elephants, they tie a rope around their leg or a chain around their leg, and the baby elephant can't go anywhere. And so as they get older, whenever the elephant starts to flip out, or if it thinks it's going to beat people, it starts to kick at people, it starts to try and gore people, whatever, somebody goes, oh, getting out of control. What do? They take a chain, they take a rope. It's not even connected to anything, y'all, but they put it around the foot. And because since it was a baby, it was used to being chained, it would just continue the same process. It was oppressed, it was depressed, it's become recessed, separated from itself, right? And if it ever starts even getting out of the concessions that it made to be, taken over by humans, and says, you know what, I confess I'm an elephant. They got a remedy for it. They say, hey, that thing we chained you with in childhood, it doesn't even have to be attached to anything specific, anything that has any positioning, anything that can do anything. All I have to do is put it around your ankle and I'm done. You said Elohim-like person and nobody fool. The reason for enslavement and murder can't be control team fused. I'm not sure exactly what you were saying there, Joe. I'm sorry. Right. But if you ain't talking about being like Elohim or being of him or being his child, you got to even know who he is, be familiar with him. Power lines went down. Can't focus in culture without economics. Well, once again, but who's economics? I agree with you. But who's economics? Are we going to do economics and say we have to make it through their ecosystem? You know how you flip economics real easily? We got it. We still got it on the website. We've been asking people, hey, make sure you get us your information. What's your business information? If your stuff is there and it doesn't have anywhere people can reach you, make sure you update it. Right? Like we could just buy from each other. If we could sow into each other, lift up each other's status, and then we could just move with each other and build some stuff. I mean, it's not actually that difficult. But when you talk about economy, well, we were talking about that the other day too, right? Even without me going into a lawful dictionary definition of economics and stuff like that, let's just look at what economics is. And forgive me because I can't see this. I might have to pop up, but I think I got it. That's politics. Capitalism. Capitalism, by the way, is when politics and economics are used to control the trade and industry, that the trade and industry is wielded by private corporations or by owners for profit and not the state, not the government. Right. But if we were looking to economics, right? Economics, you're talking about a branch of knowledge. A branch of knowledge is a branch of knowledge. It's not just the physical. A branch of knowledge, a branch of being intimate, what? And also concerned. A branch of knowledge concerned with what? With the production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. What are we consuming? What are we producing? And what are who are we transferring it to? If my wealth is going to stay in my community, then my community going to do better. If my wealth is going to always go to somebody else, then somebody else will do better. The maths. you know Look, if I'm gonna go out today and I'm gonna make sure that I catch every sale at Walmart, the Walmart, or the, what is it, Samwall or whatever, I can't remember I don't know the exact name. Waltman, I don't know, but the Walmart, that family, they're gonna do pretty well. They're gonna do pretty well. right? If I decide that I'm gonna go to the liquor store, that was Wallace. Okay. If I decide to go to the liquor store, people in the liquor store, they're gonna do pretty well. If I go to the corner store is gonna do pretty well. If I go to McDonald's, McDonald's gonna do pretty well. How many billions have they served now? Right, whatever that number is, they're gonna do pretty well. Even somebody in the LGBTQ community goes, "Ooh, you know what? That food at what is that called? Chick-fil-A. That food at Chick-fil-A, man, it's on point. They say they don't like us. Oh well, I'll go eat there." You know, because what is capitalism? Capitalism is when politics and economics are used to control trade and industry. That trade industry is wielded by private corporations and not the state. And it is systemic, by the way. It is a system. ISM on any word makes it a system. So when you Google, it is capitalism is defined literally, and I'm not even getting into the lawful definition, the legal. I'm talking about what Oxford says, what your basic dictionary says, what your Google device says, if you will. Politics and economics, it's a system which politics and economics are used to control your trade and industry. Trade is not just even what you trade, but trade is also what you're skilled in. So they trade, so they are over your skills. We talked about that on Monday in early rise of Bible study session. So some of you kind of know where I'm headed, or where I went with that, or where we did overall went with that, right? And if you want even a recording of that, just let us know and we'll get it to you. We'll get you the link and you can listen to it. But I'm just trying to say, in general, we're not aware how this stuff works, right? And capitalism and imperialism. Hey, here's something I was talking to somebody about this the other day. What is empirical data? Like, just look at the word. See, they put the letter I in there to try and throw you off. What is empirical data? Like, let's take some of these chains off. You'll talk to somebody and they say, no, stop telling me. Like, this is something Jordan Peterson does a lot. And I actually like some of what Jordan Peterson has to say. But let's be honest, Jordan Peterson's move to get out of something is, hey, stop telling me that my people did this or I'm responsible for this. Give me actual empirical data. What does empirical mean? They changed the letter. So we just think empirical data means that it is what it is. It must be scientific. That's not empirical data. And thanks for being on part of the community. I shop Grady for life. How you doing? All right. What is empirical data? Tests have been ran on it. That's what we'll say. But there we go. Emperor. Emperor. Empire. Whatever empire is in charge is the one in charge of the data. Therefore, if it's not data that matches the empire, then it is not worthy of being even looked at or observed. See how, like, basic etymology. But once again, we're looking at somebody else's. Hey, how do you, as the empire who makes territories and makes colonies and changes people up and changed up a whole map to where now we don't even know where African tribes were, but we know where these countries you made up were and stuff. How do you tell us we should look at data? And the kings and queens, those who were at the capital, they say this is how you should look at it. The way we look at, oh, amen, thank you. The way we look at, watch, like think about this. Yeah, the USA is imperialist and fascist, right? But even the way we look at data, the only way you look at data is through the prism of the people who conquered you. That's it. That's why you have to become more than a conqueror. You keep looking at data through the prism of the one who conquered you. How you doing, Yasama? Right? Like, you keep looking at the empirical data. They said this is what we call data. You go to school, you gotta deal with Freud. Freud was a pedophile. Freud was somebody who messed with little boys. Freud came up with what you call anal retentive, things like that, where Freud literally taught that little children were born and they wanted to have sex with their fathers. They wanted their fathers to, this is what Freud taught. He said their fathers wanted to penetrate them. However, the father didn't want to penetrate them. The children wanted, rather, it was the children. They were born with their father, wanting their father to basically penetrate them because Freud is a pedophile. So he says the father doesn't want to do it. So since the father doesn't want to do it, they start hanging around their mother and yelling and screaming around their mother, even through ages 2, 3, stuff like that. That's why they're always around their mother the way they are, even when they're young. And they had the terrible twos and all that because they want their mother to now do something to them, but their mother's not capable of doing something to them. So since she won't, they're just always around her with this need that won't be taken care of. Then when people get older and they act like children and they want what they want, like 2-year-olds do, you call them anal. But that's because Sigmund Freud was somebody who was a pedophile. You're looking through his prism and still using his language to try and describe something that shouldn't even be described or talked about. You see, we wear oppression and we're depressed. We don't even realize we're depressed because we know something intrinsically says this is not right. And now we're in recession. We've literally broken away from ourselves and taken a recess so that now we start making concessions. Well, I guess I'll use that language. I mean, it sounds weird to say somebody's anal, but okay. I won't even think in my mind, put two and two together. I'll just say, oh, well, like a sphincter or tight. No, why would you say that somebody, a person is a sphincter? Think about that. It's time to start making confession and stop confessing what they want you to confess. Confession means to have the same logic, to say what has been said, to say what has been done, to have the same exact logic, or to study what somebody did and do the same thing. It's time to stop doing what they said and to confess something more powerful. Is there anything more powerful than a system that wants you to keep being messed up over and over and over and over again? Could there possibly be something for you that's better than you being at certain liberties and not having freedom? Could it be possible that there's somebody that created the heaven and earth rather than continuing to tell you theories about it that make whoever's in charge say that that's what it is? Could it be more powerful that there's something more powerful than continents? Because you know, continents, there's really technically only one continent. They broke apart. You think they broke apart into seven. Sorry, I'm going to have to repeat some of that. Got a phone call. Sorry about that, TikTok. Y'all might go away for a second. Or are y'all back? Not sure. Well, let me go ahead and get into that again. Sorry about that. So, could it be something that's more powerful? You know, you were taught that there were 7 continents. You were taught that Europe was a continent. But do you not know that a continent is supposed to be a large landmass completely surrounded by water? By your projection map, Greenland would be a continent. The problem is that Greenland is 8 times too big on certain projection maps. Problem is the United States of America is like 3 times too big. Problem is that South America is about 2 times too small, and that Africa is about 2.5 to 3 times too small. That China is not as big as what it is on the map. That Europe is a peninsula because it's not completely surrounded by water, and therefore Africa, Asia, and Europe, since they're all connected, they would all be a continent. By the way, all the continents are still connected to each other underwater. So even though North America and South America are connected above water and are one continent technically, all of them are still connected, meaning that we're all one. Right? Just because Pangea was above doesn't mean that Pangea is not beneath still, which means that under the surface, we're all one. You see how this works? But see, you've had oppressive behavior so long that they had to tell you that Europe was a real place when Europe used to be a romantic way of saying that that anything that Rome conquered was European. But these European nations who started trying to say that they had a lineage that came from Rome, they said, yeah, we belong to Rome. And they got you to think that you should be romantic. And the Romans, like Greeks, so really you are Greco-Romantic. But the Greeks, they took from the Etruscans and the Kemetic people and the Medo-Persians. So you're actually more Persian at times than what you think. But you don't recognize that the Persians, they actually messed around with the Babylonians and came out of there. So the people of Babylon, you carry Babylonian Talmudic principles, but you don't think about that because you don't even think about Syria and the Assyrians. But the Assyrians, they were some bad juju on that too. But don't worry. You think that you have to be Kemetic, but you don't talk about that when it comes to Ma'at, some of that stuff that's Ma'at is not necessarily truth and righteousness either. But you want to talk about Cush, not realizing that Cush is who Ishtar was initially married to, the same Ishtar that y'all be messing around with the egg and all that, because she was a goddess that came from the moon and an egg. Yeah, exactly, Brother Tracy. That's why they used to call it Eurasia. Eurasia. It was not. Nobody cared about Europe being a place. Europe was just anything that belonged to Rome. And a lot of us are still European because we still want to belong to Rome. You don't get it. You think that Europe means white, even though white's not even a color, which means that no person can be white. Right? Hallelujah. If we open those things up, right? Uh-oh. I think somebody was saying something nice and they got muted. I don't remember what their name was. I think they were actually saying something nice. But like we have to realize these things. Yeah, I don't even know which person it was. I don't want to mess around and bring the wrong person back. I don't know which person it was. They might have said something different. I don't know. But yeah, Ishtar, Easter. Like this is all stuff. It's oppressive stuff. Whoever is in charge at the time are the people that are putting their beliefs on you. Yeah, we need to trash. But watch this. I like history books because it proves something. It's his story. If you read, see what they don't teach you in school is it's his story. If you read that book, see what your parents should be teaching you, what you should be teaching these children. If you're still sending your children to public schools and stuff, you should be telling them when you go there, realize that's his story. That's not real. That's his story. You said Maine. Maine. I don't know about Maine. You talking about what somebody got blocked or something? If they got blocked, it's really difficult for me to find anybody blocked. In all honesty, they do not make it easy for me to bring back people that are blocked, especially on the lives. But Maine, I don't know. If somebody muted name Maine, I could look into it. And I think you guys can unmute people as well and stuff too. But yeah, I don't see anybody Maine. I don't see any name like that. Yeah, I have to look. It would take literally. It would take me. I have to scroll through every single person that was ever blocked on any live we've ever done. That's that's how like crazy it is to find somebody who's blocked. That's why I be trying to tell people, please be careful with all the stuff y'all be doing, because once y'all blocked, it's kind of difficult to allow y'all to come back in. As much as I would love to have y'all come back sometime, and it doesn't put it in alphabetical order. You think if it did that, it'd be easy, right? I can't even do that. So I could probably scroll sometimes for a whole live, and I probably wouldn't find some of these people, unfortunately. You said they came to your thing or whatever, your inbox. Yeah, I don't. I mean, once again, they're not blocked from TikTok. They're just blocked from the live. So the only way they could even come back, they'd have to create. I mean, I won't say the only way, but it'd be extremely difficult. You know, with the amount of people that get blocked sometimes and muted and different things. Now, if you're muted, you can come back. If you're blocked, it's kind of difficult. Once you're blocked, you're blocked. That's why we try to be, tell people, hey, like, be careful what you be doing, because we have to protect this place. So you said that Freud molested his own sons, Oliver Martin Freud, or other people's boys. I'm not sure about the molestation. I know that the history of Freud is that Freud was somebody who really wasn't around his family, was known to be around little boys. He was somebody. So is it possible that he did? Sure. Are there rumors that there are? Sure. Can I tell you that this is the exact thing that we can look at and say he did it for sure? I can't do that. And that would be somewhat irresponsible of me. I know somebody says, then how can you say that he was this? Well, we know, like, look at the language he uses, look at what he was playing, look at, by the way, what he did for livings beforehand. He was, Freud was considered to be a failure before he came up with his whole Freudian way of looking at things. He was looking for um, testicles on eels to prove that eels could had testicles, because up until recent times, people didn't believe that eels reproduce. Some people believe that eels literally were like deities or spirits, or eels just manifested, like they just came out of nowhere, or eels were like the result of a bunch of just wild goo and stuff up until recently. But yeah, so there were many people trying to figure out about eels and stuff, but that was one thing that he did. I forget the other thing he was doing that was kind of wild too. And then after that, he kind of got into what we now call, or he got into psychology, basically. But his patterns, when you look at it, you're just kind of like, ooh, like he was definitely into some stuff, right? But yeah, there are a bunch of rumors and things like that for sure. But I'm just saying, to say that the child wants their parents to lay down with them, and that's where you get the term anal from. That's what you said. Who was at Freud though? Who was at Freud though, and how old? Who was around for it? I mean, I mean, I would just suggest do some research. Oedipus are aliens. They have like 8 brains. Okay, I don't really know how to go down that path. In all honesty, how you doing, old head energy? I'm not against it. I'm just saying I don't have anything to give you on that. That's a blind spot for me. But yeah, we have to look at these things. So we have to be honest. We have to be real. We have to think about where this stuff even came from. Are we still using oppressive tactics to try and create freedom? Yeah, we got to ask ourselves, like, are we still using oppressive tactics to try and create freedom? Are we still using oppressive tactics to try and create freedom? And if we are, why? Shalom, Susan. How you doing? Like, if we're still using tactics that came from the people that put us in chains, then we got to ask ourselves why. See, we make more money than just about everybody else as a people. Okay, I didn't mute you, but if a moderator muted you, I'm not sure. But thank you for being back. All right. I'm sorry. I'm not necessarily going to get into a debate as far as like why you were muted or whatever. But thanks for being back. Appreciate you. If it was a mistake, it was a mistake. I didn't have. So whatever. But we have to be real. You said you're 31, finally understanding what exactly this world is made of. Yeah, we have to ask ourselves, because even the word world, right? There's even two words that you would use: cosmos in the Greek, right, and cosmos in the Greek. Cosmos with a C, cosmos with a K. With a C, it means you're dealing with the terra firma. Cosmos with a K, that means you're dealing with a system. See, so when it says be in the world but not of it, it's talking about cosmos with a K. Yeah, you're physically on C in the terra firma, on the terra, and in the arats, on the earth, on the asase, the earth. But you are have to realize, are you in the cosmos with a K, in the system? You said America is nothing like it once was. Which America you talking about? And I don't even mean that like disrespectfully. I don't even mean that just in Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to Americas. I'm talking about, which American are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, which American are we talking about? You know, there's like, in lawful dictionaries, there are two types of Americans. Asase is Shwi, West African language, primarily spoken by people in Ghana, parts of Nigeria and stuff. Asase just means earth. Asase is earth. Arats is Avda for earth. Even Adam or Adam or Adamach, they both actually mean earth as well, or have stuff to do with the earth, coming out of the earth. But yeah, that's what I was just saying in different languages. You said you're Native American, you feel where the black man comes from. Well, no, I get you. What I was saying is the modern American, because I'm Cherokee and Salakia, right? Taino as well. I won't go to the place because some people argue what Omekshi is or isn't, so I'll leave that alone. But we know what time it is. I was so my wife's Seminole is actually mixed Seminole, Blackfoot. Oh, I'm about to get in trouble. Seminole, Blackfoot, Creek, and but yeah, anyways, when you go through those things or whatever, but the original American, according to European, right? We just talked about what that word actually means, but according to Europeans, it actually means a copper colored person indigenous to the Americas. Oh, okay. How you doing, cousin? Right? It's actually a copper colored person indigenous to the Americas. Now, I'm not saying every person had to be dark copper. What I'm saying is that when Europeans came over and started admitting who they were dealing with, they put in a dictionary lawfully saying what, and it's still in their dictionary, even in American dictionaries. It's one of the there's two different definitions, but they put in there that you had to be a copper colored person indigenous to the Americans. And remember that they said that Negroes by law were not only Africans, but they were natives. They put us in the same boat and put us in the same breeding camps and put us in the same enslavement camps and raped and pillaged both, right? Killed off both. So when you get the Seminoles, even Seminole, right, is just a bunch of it's a bunch of tribes that were here with people who were running out of slavery, mixing together, and were fighting against or fighting for their freedom. The Gullah, look up the Gullah Wars. Gola, like the Gullah Geechee, Angola, literally meaning people that are scattered or people that are taken away from themselves. See, once again, we're oppressed, we're depressed, and we're recessed to take a break from yourself. Yep, there you go. Yep, in South Carolina, most definitely. And so you're talking about around the same place that I am, or whatever, right? You look at these people. The Gullah Wars are wars. That's the whole reason why there actually was independence. You think Abraham Lincoln gave it to you, but nobody ever says while that was going on, there was this whole Gullah thing going on too. Gullah goes from, yeah, like North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. You said you live near Creek Reservation over there in Alabama? Okay, yeah. So, so there's a lot. You're from New Orleans? Okay, well, welcome on. Right? And so and I'm saying, I'm sorry, what you said, you're getting 23 and you done. What's the space of the data they're collecting? Yeah, and by the way, even before you get 23 and me, because 23 and me doesn't necessarily say this is exactly where your people are from. That means that, well, we found that some people live here, some people live there, but did they really live there? Did they die there? Were they forced there? Like there's a lot of stuff like that, even where are we really from on the map, but they are collecting the stuff when you're signing away, like, hey, when I do this, I'm giving you the right to use whatever you find for whatever purposes. And let's be honest, we don't have the best track record with them, with not them white people even. I'm talking about with this type of science when it comes to making sure that they're doing this for our benefit and not benefiting themselves. But so there are ways to look at it, even if you're not able to get names right away. And by the way, there's apps where you can even go through stuff and find out that it costs you money. But there's apps. We paid $100 or something for an app one time, but within like a few hours, we had already not only seen who was who, but whose land was where, and this and that and other. So there's stuff out there. There's people who've done research even on individuals, and there's stuff that the government knows about you, even when they act like they don't know. Right? Your stock, they paid bond for you, right? Or you're worth bond, and they go ahead and use you to pay Federal Reserve or whomever else they're looking at, England, whomever they're in. They have different contracts with different people, but they're not in debt. America is not. There's no way America's $31 trillion in debt. Right? That's a slave mentality we have. They can tell us whatever you want. You should know better. You tell some of y'all won't let y'all family members off for $31. Hey, when you gonna come off that 31, bro? But you think they gonna let America go $31 trillion in debt and still keep printing out money? It's a slave mentality, like the slave master. What is a master? Not just a slave owner. We focus on the owner, the corporation, but also they got slave masters. A master is a teacher. So these people who have made you in debt and made you slaves and made you think that you're supposed to wear it well have also been teaching you some things that don't make sense. You know better. You know better. You would not let 30 somebody go $31 in debt with you, but you think somebody let a nation go 31 trillion? No, they paying off the debt. They've been paying off the debt. There is no debt. The debt calculator is to make you feel like, hey, at least we're being honest about it. That's awesome news about the Underground Railroad. That our own people have the necessity to enslave us, with ourselves. Well, yeah, a lot of them get paid. Some of the best CEOs you ever gonna meet are your people. When I say CEOs, I'm talking about the people who are in prison, the correctional officers. Some of the best POs you ever gonna have are gonna be black folk, parole officers. They work well. Some of the people, and a lot of them now are coming up in a minute to you. Go look on YouTube, go look on social media, all these judges that are now starting to come out and cry and say, you know how many black people I locked up? It's so terrible at what I did. Yeah, you did it because you knew that you had to get ahead. Now, I'm not saying that we don't forgive you, but let's not act like you ain't know what you was doing. You just left and did just left prison, did 7 years. Well, we're glad that you got out, and we're glad that you're growing, and we're glad that you're becoming better. How you doing, Sister Tisha? You said, why would we forgive them? Forgive just means before somebody does something, you give them the right to do it. I give the right to everybody to be a human being, right? If you can't forgive anybody, if you can't forgive one person, you're really not gonna be able to forgive anybody. And if you can only forgive according to standards. But see, I didn't say forgiveness means be a doormat. I didn't say forgiveness means trust. I didn't say forgiveness means, okay, I'm gonna restore you to this position, but I'm gonna let you do whatever you want. That's a process. See, and all this, see what I'm saying? We've taken other people's definitions. Forgive never said forget. Forgive and forget are not even the same word, are they? Yeah, exactly. That $31. Let me hold that. You hear what I'm saying? Like forgiveness does not mean forgive. Forgiveness does not mean trust. Forgiveness does not mean no. Forgiveness is for you. Let go of it so that you're not every waking moment thinking about what somebody else did to you. I'm aware of what they did to me, and I'm aware how to plan to make sure that I don't fall for the same trap. But I'm not going to literally like I can't go to sleep. Like real talk. There's a lot of people that do me dirty on a regular basis, right? Do my family dirty on a regular basis, send stuff to us that's wild and all this stuff, say stuff from time to time. There's people that come on this live session on different platforms because we're not just on one, we're on like 4 to 5 platforms every day, 2 times a day at least, dealing with people who say stuff about us that's really off-putting, people who say, "Oh, you didn't answer this, and therefore you hate me." People who say, "Hey, you know what? I believed in you, and you didn't do everything I wanted you to do, so I'm out." Like, you deal with all that. I have to forgive people all day, right? But I'm not gonna go to sleep. If the person come back and be like, "Okay, I'm back in now. You got to understand, blah blah." I mean, I don't trust you. If you wanted to get back your trust, fine. I forgave you before you did it. I knew that. Look, I know my own humanity. I can mess up tomorrow. I can do something crazy tomorrow. I can mess around and do something that would totally blow all of you guys' minds and think I never thought Kofi. Thank you for the love, appreciate it. They'd be like, I never thought Kofi would be able to do that. I never thought he would do that because I'm a human being. Prayerfully, I have enough great habits in me to where I wouldn't do that. But I'm a human being. Who knows? I believe that I'm very well, you know, um, um, steeped in my own culture, and I live it enough to where there's certain things you should never have to worry about. Nevertheless, I'm just saying, I'm a human being. Who knows? Somebody might upset me, might punch them in the face. Somebody might do something to my wife. They might have to go down. I don't know. I'm just saying. Prayerfully, it doesn't. That's why I pray not just for myself, but for others, because some people don't know how to be respectful, and your lack of respect might put me in a place where you can't be respected by me. I don't know, but what I'm saying is, all that being said, yeah, I forgive you might forgive me for that, but it doesn't mean I might not have to build up trust again. This is the part that people don't talk about. Okay, I get you. Right. Human beings, according to Western law, are monsters. And I appreciate that. Yes, I have a soul. I'm not talking within the confines of their construct, but yes, if I was lawfully dealing with that as a human being, or I wouldn't be a human being in court because humans are monsters. I'd have to be a natural person, a natural man, a natural woman, something along those lines, or a non-citizen national, etc. Right. But forgiving is something that we do, not for them, it's for us. You know what I'm saying? Forgiveness is not for the person, it's for me. It's for them too if they want to receive it and therefore receive it, but it's not for them, it's for me. Cuz I promise y'all, got much love for everybody who's listening. You hear that? I got much love for everybody on all the platforms. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and even those who came over from the podcast. Much love for everybody who's listening on here today. But I promise you, I'm not going to sleep with not one of your problems or one of your feelings or one of your thought processes or one of your things that's going to criticize or whatever. I'm not going to sleep with one of them things in my head. Much love for everybody on here. I'm just telling you. I'm just being honest with you. I don't have have the room for it anymore. Thank you for the love. Appreciate it. I can't have the room for it anymore. I can't allow myself to lose sleep. See, that's a chain that people want you to have. Well, why weren't you thinking about me all night long? Because I was laying in bed next to my wife. We ain't had no menage a trois. There's only 2 people that lay down here. 3 people technically. If we have a menage a trois, the most high is in a threefold court. You don't get to come in the room though. But he said whatever y'all do in the bedroom is undefiled. And sometimes what I'm doing in the bedroom that needs to be undefiled is my sleep. And yo, why would I allow you to come into my bedroom and sleep in my bed and have mindset and have it to where I'm waking up and I'm waking up in the middle of the night in the cold sweat because of something somebody's doing or somebody being manipulative or somebody doing all these different things or whatever. No, 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 no. Like if you did those things, you did those things, you were oppressive, you did that, but you ain't coming to my bedroom. It's time to sleep. You see what I'm saying? And some of you are losing sleep because you're so worried about an enemy rather than making sure that you have certain laws. Laws don't give rights, laws protect rights. What are some laws that you have to make sure that you do what's necessary and at the same time you're protected even from them taking over your mind? They are not going to be in my sleep. I'm just being man honest. That's a chain that we don't have to use. Right? There's a chain that we don't have to use. I don't have to have that chain on me. I don't have to be sitting up there and hating somebody so much that I can't lay down at night. Hating somebody so much that I can't see the beauty in my wife as she sleeps, and I can go ahead and pray over her. I can't even pray over her while she sleeps, because while I'm trying to pray over her, I'm sitting there, oh, so and so did it. I can't believe it. Can't even sleep. Got to keep waking up. Got to go back to the text message. They did say that. I should have known 10 months ago. Look at that. I've been scrolling 10 months of text to be able to find the one text that said, aha, that person was evil. No, you don't have that much power. Even when I'm dealing with this stuff, when we're talking about racism and stuff, these people don't have that much power over us. If you're a racist, you don't have that much power to control my sleep. Really? Even the people that worked on plantations who had cotton, decrepit hands. If you don't know, picking cotton hurt. Their hands ain't even look right. They still ain't lose sleep. If anything, they ain't lose sleep, because even if you a slave, you still got to be able to be a slave tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? If the bare minimum, you can't even slave right. Some of us can't even be, who are still in slavery, chattel slavery, slavery of the mind, all these different things. Can't even slave right because we losing sleep. Ain't nothing gonna cause me to be sleepless no more. And I've gone through some extreme situations as of late. Ain't nothing gonna cause me to not at least get a few hours. Ain't nothing worth that. Wife and I might be having some disagreements or whatever. Guess what? Time to bed. Time for bed. Like, we can deal with all that in the time for bed. Time to bed. And I'm not going to bed angry. So if I got to go for a walk, if I got to go do this, if I got to go do that, whatever. If I got to go hit something, if I got to go do some kung fu, do some stretches, something. But I'm not ending up and say it's time for bed. I'm 40 years old now. It's time. When it's bedtime, it's bedtime. See, I don't have to wear oppression to sleep. I can take, you don't have to wear it no more. Take it off. I don't have to wear depression to sleep. You don't have to wear it no more. Take it off. I don't have to wear recession to sleep. Being separated from myself. I can take that off, take that chain off. I don't have to make concessions to it. Well, I'll just sleep angry tonight. I'll just do this tonight. I'll deal with it in the rising. No, I can be in a positive mood even when I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because Yahweh's got it taken care of. I seek first the kingdom of Elohim and all his righteousness, right, lawful standing, and all these things are added unto me. And I give no thoughts for tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of the things for itself, sufficient even to the evil thereof. And therefore, if you keep on going, we always stop there. Some of us don't even go that far. But if we keep on going, therefore, when we get further in the Sermon on the Mount, now we're in Matthew chapter 7, verse 1, I make sure that I judge others and condemn others and forgive or don't forgive others the way that I want it done unto me, right? For whatever I give, it shall be given unto me. Elohim's measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, shall men give into my bosom. Other people will give to me what I give out. For with the same measure that I meet, shall it be added unto me. And I'm careful, therefore, to not talk about the chaff or the straw or the mote that happens to be in somebody's eye, a little splinter and stuff that causes a person to do that, when I got some stuff I got to deal with in myself. So I can't be hypocritical where I got a beam that holds up whole homes in my eye, but I'm talking about the chaff, the straw that blew in somebody's eye. And therefore, verse 6, I don't even worry about casting pearl to swine. So if somebody's swine, not just regular, but somebody's swine, remember before that in verse 6 of Matthew chapter 7, it literally says, and it says that we shouldn't give things that are holy to the dogs. Now, he was given a parable because we as Israelites, we had some racist issues, and we didn't like people that were half Israel. So therefore, we didn't like people that were half Israel. What did we do? We had this chain on us that said you had to be a dog, a half breed. But he was saying you guys are not even spiritually whole or holy. So stop trying to deal with people who are half breed spiritually, and you trying to give them things that are holy, as if they're going to accept it. And then right after that, he says, don't give them pearls. Don't give them the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is like a pearl, Matthew chapter 13, right? Or a merchant who finds a pearl and for the joy thereof sells everything that he has to be able to have the pearl. So he says what? He says, don't be like these people. Don't be like these people out here, right? Who are sitting up here, who are literally throwing pearls to wild swine, because swine that is in the cage doesn't act like wild swine. It does not gore you. It does not rend you. It uses the word rend. That means that it rips you apart. So pigs that you own don't do that. But pigs that you have no ownership, or pigs that are not in cages, or pigs that are not used to human beings, they don't value not only pearls, but they don't value human life. It says when you throw the kingdom or pearls at people who are wild, not even in your civilization, not even in your mindset, not even on your wavelength, not even trying to think like you, it says you throw a pearl at them. It said the swine would look at the pearl, go past them, and they would see, wait a minute, this person just threw something at me, turn back and see you, not value your life as a human being. It would rend you, would rip you apart. And when it says rend, it means it would tear you apart. You would almost be like a little baby again. You would either die, or you would never be able to walk or talk or react like you're supposed to. You have to be taken care of for the rest of your life. You keep trying to throw pearls and make concessions. That Deuteronomy 28 curse, you keep trying to barter that hope that the oppressor is going to take care of you. That's part of Deuteronomy 28. We don't talk about that. But Deuteronomy 28 also talks about the fact that you're going to try to ask the oppressor and keep trying to see if you can make back alley deals for them. Maybe if I fight for you in this battle, you'll give me some of what you got. Right? You know, like one of the people of Haiti, this is in the movie Reclaiming the Throne as well, right? That we're doing our watch party for. We just learned about, or talked to, whatever. We just learned about this yesterday and the day before, actually. But you know, one of the people who were in Haiti, I'm sorry, who fought for in Savannah, Georgia. He was a Haitian, and I believe might even been Igbo, but I know he at least went to Haiti. But maybe he was Haitian and then went back. But he ends up being one of the people who helped the Haitians fight for independence. You know, in the early 1800s, 1803, 1804, he was part of that fight, that one of those last fights. Well, he is actually on the battlefield during the American Revolutionary War. There's a big old, carving of him and everything. And he did that and then went on to liberate Haiti. He liberated America first and ended up with nothing, and went to a place to become a slave again, and then fight with other slaves that he might be able to finally become a king with his own people. He fought for the liberation of somebody else and then said, hey, I bartered with you. Will you give me my own liberation? I gave you a pearl. They didn't value him. They tore him up. They didn't value him, so they tore him to pieces. But he fought for the liberation. He fought for their liberation. They didn't give him anything. He fought for his people's liberation. He became a king. You see what I'm saying? Why are you fighting for people that aren't like-minded? People that aren't like-minded are not supposed to make you kings and queens. People that are like-minded will make you royalty. Sounds like what happened to Kanye. Kanye dropping jewels and knowledge and all this stuff. By the way, Kanye's a little off, but people don't remember. Remember, Kanye was going and saying, maybe I've got mental health issues. Put me in this. They put him on types of medicine. So now Kanye's out here giving truths, but some of his stuff is way off. You're like, well, what's wrong with him? He's kind of sort of giving us up, but then he kind of backtracked and he kind of doing this. Kanye lost his mind because he fought for somebody who wasn't going to let him in. He's our brother. Still pray for him. But Kanye's whole thing was, if I just go ahead and sell out and I'll be what they want me to be, they'll make me rich and they'll make me this, and I'll get a Kardashian and I'll have the child and I'll have the prestige, and now everybody's just gonna do whatever I want they want me to do. No, that's not how it works, bro. That's not how this thing works. That's not how this thing works. We're fighting for everybody else, not ourselves. So here we are. It's time to come out of that. Now, what are we going to start confessing? Confessing means to have the same logic. Is there anything that we'll have the same logic of, Yashda, as we get ready we're getting to the point where we got to take our leave for today. Are we willing to have the same logic about anything? Are we done with saying it's logical to say we should be apart from each other? Are we done with saying it's logical to say that black women ain't nothing and black men ain't nothing? Are we done with that? I don't even know who Mr. Rainey is. I had to look that up. It's not ringing any bells up in my mind. Right? Are we done fighting for other people who use it to their benefit? And are we ready to go into what he has for us? What is our Constitution? That's why we keep telling people to learn about yourself. When they keep saying, oh, you're being reverse racist. No, learn about yourself. Now, you can't even see it on TikTok. Right? But learn about yourself. Learn about yourself. What is your standard? That's the missing ingredient. If you knew what your standard was, you would definitely want to come out. If you knew what your standard was, you would definitely want to say, let's put this stuff in the pot. Let's put this money in the pot and let's get this done. If you knew what your standard was, you would say, hey, I might not have 50 acres, but I got 5 acres. Y'all can use 2 of them. Let's grow some food and at least make sure we do that. If you knew your standard, you would make sure that you supported each other's businesses, because it's better that you uplift each other than you uplift somebody who's not going to feed you. How you doing, Israelite Queen? If you knew your standard, what is the standard? That's what we're trying to get to. You don't have to wear those other standards no more. You've been understanding somebody else. Understanding is fine. I know people like to overstand or understand. Understand literally means to stand under a principle, under a standard. The problem is that you have no standard that's yours. And the problem is not your understanding, it's the problem of who do you understand. Ah, that's a word for somebody right there. The problem is not your standard. The problem is not even understanding. The problem is, who do you understand? Who do you understand? That's great. Now our people are starting to say, I don't understand this world. That's great. You're not supposed to be in it. Or you're not supposed to be of it. Definitely. You might have to be in it from time to time, but don't be of it. Play on word. World can be cosmos with a C, physical world, cosmos with a K, a system. You might have to be on the land, but you don't have to be of it. Thank you, Oil Golden. How you doing? Hopefully you're having a great day. Like, there comes a time, what is the standard? Our marriages, we're not even getting married. Yeah, because you don't comprehend what marriage is. Marriage is sex. Sex is marriage. Are you qualified for sex with one person for the rest of your life? If not, then don't have it. That's a standard. See, now we get specifically somewhere. It's hard for some people to break that off, but we getting somewhere specifically now. Uh-oh, I usually block you. I don't block you. If you were blocked, you wouldn't be able to come back on. If the moderator has muted you, then the moderator mutes you because of being here. First of all, start out by saying hello. Right now that we said hello, I usually block you when you get on here, but but now you saying some things I can get with. Good job, King. Okay, all right, whatever. So you've come on to tell me that I basically am always saying some bad things, and then now I'm saying stuff that's okay. No wonder some of the moderators didn't like your stuff. Just come on and just treat people like human beings. Say hello. I've never blocked you. If you were blocked, you couldn't come back on. I've never muted you, but a moderator probably did for how you kind of acted now. But thanks for being on. I appreciate you. If that's an olive branch, I guess we can meet halfway. Um, you said people are not supposed to get us. If they could read us, then we're of the world. Yeah, you're supposed to be what? A peculiar people. Peculiar means you don't fit in. Even your language is peculiar, right? Willie Lynch said that language is a peculiar institution. Language is a peculiar institution. Language is what? A peculiar institution. Terry, I'm where I need to be. All right. I apologize if you feel like I didn't make sure that I smiled or shucked and jived enough for somebody who's been on lives before and said a lot of, kind of interesting things. But okay, thank you for bringing it to my attention. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. People are supposed to say and say and say and say. So that's what I said. You forgive people, but we don't have to be doormats. I've taken that chain off a long time ago. I didn't go to the point of Yashua did. I didn't say hypocrite. You live underneath the criteria. I didn't say, anything that's not planned to my father needs to be pulled up by the root. I just simply said, hey, like, if you're going to bring stuff to it, like, make sure you have your actions in order. I'll hold myself accountable. You should hold yours. People didn't like the way I said it. I mean, I can't. I felt like I said it's seasoned and salt. I haven't cussed anybody out or said, hey, when you were on here last time, you were bad and evil and da da da. That's what the person said. But people will come at you. Once again, what is our standard? Is there a standard to where you can defend yourself and defend your brother and defend your sister? Is there a standard to where you should have a platform that you can say that your people can go ahead and be the one, the people that are with you, like minded, doing things for the community, sewing in, doing things like that they should be able to institute the things that they feel they're called to do? It's a standard. So what is our standard going to be? We put on this chain. We're somebody else's standard. Ego is a cruel man. Okay, Terry. Well, I'll help you out. I promise you. You know what, Terry? Thank you. Thank you for checking me. Somebody now muted you, right? But if you're still able to hear me, thank you for basically doing the same thing that the other person has done, which is This is my first time listening to you. I don't really know what your belief system is. Somebody's been saying some things and I don't know what they've been saying, but because I need to be right, I'm going to make sure that I tell you that you're a terrible person. Ad hominem never helps anybody out apologetically. But what I'll do for you is something that I usually don't do, which I probably don't even do every live, but I'll do it today for you to help to prove your point in your mind so that you can go and make sure that you tell whoever you need to that I'm this evil person. I will help you out today if you would like. You know what? I'll leave it alone. Let's leave it in y'all's hands. Let's leave it in y'all's hands. Right? Somebody's already muted you. I think that's enough, but it is what it is. Right? I literally am not blocking you. So when you come back next time to tell me why I'm evil like the other person did, if that's what's on your heart, I'm praying for you, and we'll see if we can talk about that earlier. But once again, like people feel, see what I'm saying? People feel like you should be able to get thing after thing said over and over again, and people should be able to troll you. They should be able to troll you, and then that you should be able to come out of self. And this is what people are looking for us to do: is once again put on something that's fast, so put on that chain and say, "I need to come out of self. I'm a king. I don't have to come off the throne. You're a king. You don't have to come off the throne. You may be a queen. You don't have to come off the throne." Right? What does the throne room look like? Do you even know how to come into the throne room? Yeah, and even when we do state something or say something, then it's up, you're angry, you're this and that or whatever. Like, I don't think anybody on here has ever actually seen me angry. I promise you, like, I know what my anger is. Righteous indignation, even. I know what that is. I promise you. I don't think any of you have ever actually seen me angry. You've probably seen me miffed and irritated. I've I've never really been angry on here. I try my best to make sure I'm not a stumbling block on here. So I'm pretty sure you've never seen me angry. I've had flashbacks and thought about saying stuff on here, but I've never been, right? But once again, that's a chain that people wear, and it's a way that people can say, "Oh, I'm gonna use that homonym. I'm gonna just say he's wrong no matter what." You know, I'm gonna just say he's wrong no matter what. And it's not. I'm not like I know enough now. I've traveled enough now. You know, people say stuff like, "Oh, you're thinking too much." You're not thinking too much. Like this. One of the worst things, and I get it from a certain extent too, because of being a prelate or what people call a pastor. So a lot of you deal with the term pastor, and therefore treat me like a lot of these pastors. By the way, the term pastor is actually dealing with the fact that we were considered to be shepherds or shepherd kings. We were considered to even be to a certain. Y'all would use the language Arabic too, but we were considered to be certain things. So you had to be Shemitic in order to be a pastor. So now we've gotten rid of those things, right? We've gotten rid of those things. But it used to be to be a pastor, it was a culture. So you couldn't pastor people without having at least knowledge of Shemitic culture. It was impossible. Now you don't have to have any culture and be a pastor. Oh, well, thank you, Froglo. Appreciate it. Hopefully you're doing well today. Yeah, even in anger, there's a difference. I get you, right? So I'm just saying, so I'm saying on top of all those things we discussed today, right? What are you willing to do as far as taking off the chain? Thank you for the love. You don't have, today we talked about, you don't have to wear it no more. You don't have to wear it no more. Oppression is something you don't have to wear. You can be in oppression, but you don't have to be of it. That's when you're free. When you can move in and out of something and only deal with something as you feel to deal with it, you don't have to deal with it no more. That's freeing. See, well, you don't have to wear depression anymore. I know it's depressing to look around and see a lot of this stuff and see people still doing stuff in the world, family members falling off from you because you're telling them the truth and things like that. But that's not your fault. Did you know that? Did you know you deciding to live in the truth and others denying who you are because you live in truth is not your fault? May I help somebody with that? You deciding you're not going to, worship Santa? Yeah, it's okay. That's not on you. You did what's righteous, right? Read your Bible, it'll bless you. Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5. What does it say specifically? Matthew chapter 5. What does it say specifically? Matthew chapter 5. Matthew chapter 5, verse 10 through 12. The Beatitudes. After, blessed are those who are poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to you. Blessed are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, they shall be filled. Blessed are those that are humble, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who are the peacemakers, for they shall see Elohim. Right, all these different things. But then we get to verses 10 through 12 of Matthew 5, and it said, blessed are those when they revile you and say all manner of evil against you, when they rebuke you, when they say, oh, you crazy and you this and that. Why? It said you should rejoice and be exceeding glad, because they did the same thing to the prophets that came before you. And then later on, he'll say in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, do not think that I came to destroy the law or do not think that came to overthrow the government by destroying the law or the prophets, but I actually came to make sure that this is fulfilled. That means to be enacted or to put into effect. Then Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, which we were talking about earlier before I stopped after the pearl thing. Matthew chapter 7, verse 12. At the end of at verse 12, it gives you the golden rule, which we only use half of it because we're in chains. So we don't even have the knowledge. We don't even read our Bible. It's right there in your Bible. Read your Bible to bless you. The whole golden rule goes like this. See, the golden rule, is do unto others as you want done unto you. And that's where you leave it. Right? That's where you leave it. Because you think love has no standards. You think love has loopholes. You think love has no standards. You think that love is unconditional. You can do whatever you want. So somebody, Jay, just do whatever you want to do, and everybody's supposed to just do whatever you want them to do to you. But no. Matthew 7:12 says, do unto others as you want done unto you. And then right after that, it says in the same verse, it says, for this is the law and the prophets. In other words, there's a standard you got to live by, baby boy, baby girl. You got to live by it. There's a standard. The problem is lack of standard. The problem is you're in chains even with lack of standard. The thing that puts you in chains in the first place, the thing that got you in prison in the first place, because you have no law. Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68. But if you would follow the law, Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 14, things will be all right. Don't only focus on 15 through 68. Learn about it, learn what happened to you. But don't forget that verses 1 through 14 is talking about how the law and following it is positive. And there are a lack of teachers, most definitely. How do we know that? Romans chapter 10, verse 13 through 16. Anyone who calls upon the name of Yahweh or of Adon, or of Yahshua even, but anybody who calls upon the name of Adon or the name of the Lord, the authority, the Shem of the Lord, they shall be saved. But how can you be saved if you don't believe? And how can you believe if you haven't heard this? And how can you hear it if nobody's preaching it? And how can it be preached if the preachers aren't sent by the Most High? For how beautiful it is at the feet of those that preach of the Most High, because they are followers of the way. And now verse 16, once it's put out there, the question is, who shall believe our report? It's not everybody's report. It's for those who will actually receive. Yeah, more or less, or lawless. Society breeds the demons they say don't exist. By the way, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about that. Lack of morals, capitalism, militarism causes us to be in the situation that we're in. Who's going to, now that we have people that are standing up to say this, I don't even know how many of us, but I know we have a few of them over here in our organization. Well, how do we have people that are standing up to say this? The question is, who shall believe our report? And to believe it, it means that, hey, they have heard it. So you've heard it. That means it had to have been preached. It means that it had to have been preached by people sent by the Most High. So who shall believe the report? Let's move backwards in that, though. So now we've given you the report, and we were sent by the Most High to preach you something that you've never heard before, that you might believe, and that you might be able to have the proper authority, or called out to the proper authority when you call on the name of the Lord. All that is mandatory to break chains. And by the way, keep working your way backwards. That's when you have to realize that confession or you're on your way to righteousness and on your way to salvation through believing and confessing. Confessing meaning to have the same logic. So work your way backwards. Now you're at that place everybody likes. So you have to have the same logic of, or to confess what Yahshua HaMashiach does in order for him to be your Adon, or to be your Lord. And then you can believe that he can raise you that you can be raised from the dead by Elohim, the same way that Yahshua was, because you're a fellow heir to whatever your Lord is a fellow heir to. I mean, this is right. Am I saying anything that you can't read in your Bible, or anything that doesn't make sense lawfully? We just don't have anybody speaking it like this. Because not because I'm better than everybody else, by the way. It's I am called to do this, so that obviously has something to do with it too. But it's not because I'm better than everybody else. You know why this is? It's because I'm willing to just let it be what it says. It's a standard. I take chains off because in order to be this, we talked about this yesterday. What did we say? Holy Spirit, help me. Those what is it? In order to be free, Holy Spirit, help me, please. Or maybe somebody in the chat help me through the Holy Spirit. What is it? Those that are free, those that are those that are free from truth, those that want freedom from what was it? Those that want freedom from truth. Wow. She had to say this over and over again yesterday. Those that want freedom from truth are what is it? Those that want freedom. Okay. Those that want freedom from truth. I'm not even sure if this is what we said yesterday. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what it was. Thank you. Those that thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's what it is. Thank you, Aphrodisiac. Those that want freedom from truth are blind, but those that are free in truth cannot be blind. Those that want freedom from truth are blind, the blind leading the blind. Those that want freedom in truth, they must be able to see. You said the thief on the cross said, "Remember me," and went to heaven. Might need to study more, bro. What does that have to do with what I'm saying? By the way, the king, the thief that was on there when he said, "Remember me," remember me. What does that mean? Remember. Remember is not recall. Remember. What does remember mean? I was a member of something. I know that I messed up. You have never messed up, but you are taking on my sin. And so I see that. And as somebody who's been dismembered because of my actions is taking this death that I deserve, I'm calling out to you and saying, hey, when you get to your kingdom, remember me. And what did he say? In this yam, or this period of time, you call it a day. In this yam, right? In this moment, in this period of time, you will be with me in paradise. So you're saying I had something cut off or I was cut off. Can you bring me back into the fold? But I don't know what that even has to do with me being wrong. But okay. you know, thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. You said been so weird times, so unbearable, especially since children are in the system. Yeah, and a lot of our children are, a lot of us still are, right? So our goal is what? To make sure that we walk in truth. Those of us that decide to walk outside of truth or to be free of truth, right, cannot see. We have to be blind. And those who decide to be free in truth, you have to be able to see. So now that we stop having what we talked about yesterday, that blind faith, right? That blind justice, right? That's what we talked about yesterday, Rising. Last night we talked about Negro Land. I think yesterday, Rising, we talked about blind faith. I can't find the picture that we used. But whatever, yeah, I can't find the picture. Maybe I got rid of it. But so we talked about yesterday that blind faith that a lot of us had. Oh, there it is. Right? It's time for us to stop having blind justice. How you give justice to somebody and you can't see? I know what it's supposedly supposed to stand for, but let's be honest. Langston Hughes, once again, he told us that Black people have been aware that justice has been blind for quite some time because of what the system does. It's time for us to stop being blind. There's too much, as we talked about yesterday. Everywhere we go, there we are. No matter what people try to tell us, wherever we look, we see ourselves. And people keep telling us that it's wrong for us to see ourselves, but it's about time that you and I decided that we keep these chains off. It's just about time. When everywhere you go, there you are. You're supposed to deal with yourself. Let's start dealing with self, kings and queens. There's too much stuff that we have, just even in SOC, but too much stuff all over the place. There's too much stuff that we have the ability to do. Let's get these chains off. There's too much. There's too many times that we keep going back into the same situation, same heartache, same stuff. And you guys listen to other people. I'm sorry, Samaya, I missed what you said. What'd you say? I missed it. Oh, those that want freedom from truth are blind, but those that are free in truth can see. Hey, that's a great way of saying it. I ain't gonna be mad at you. I probably say it slightly different every time, anyways. But but I think I said, what was it? Those who want freedom from truth must be blind, but those that want freedom in truth, they cannot be blind, or they must see. Something like that. But hey, how you said it, that works too. I haven't cornered the market on that. Right. Pastor, they said they broke through the atmosphere the other day. Mm. Hey, I missed that. I don't know what they talking about, but we already know about that Van Allen belt and stuff. But at the all that stuff like we're talking about is that truth. But it's time to break chains off. And so all I'm saying is we'll leave it at this. Time for us to take our leave. Right. I won't be disrespectful and keep going long and long and long each time. Let me say this, and then let's roll out. And then prayerfully, we will be on later this evening for the live, and we'll also have another watch party before the live, like we did yesterday. But let's just say it like this, and then we'll take our leave. Thank you. It's 11:11. Thank you. So let's just do this. Let's just say this, and then we'll take our leave. You ready? Praise y'all for this word. Okay. it it comes. Okay, people yelling and stuff in the back. Okay, it comes to a certain point. It comes to a certain extent where we got to just say it like this: if we're going to be who the Most High has told us to be and has called us to be, we have to be willing to be all the way out. Come out of her, right? Uh-oh. It's only a matter of time, right? That's why we can't let you be our standard. Africans need to come to terms with Africans sold their own to slavery and still do. Yep, just like white people sold white people into slavery and still do, and white people still slaves, and human beings still put other human beings into slavery, and you don't care about actually, not being oblivious to the plight of somebody else because it doesn't affect you. And if you have a victim mentality, stop having a victim mentality. As if you can't be a victim without a victor, but you're a victor, so you like making victims out of people to say why you're better than them, and you're using ad hominem instead of using apologetics, and it just becomes tiring sometimes saying this stuff. That's why I praise God that even though this is long, He has a place for us to end, because it's only a matter of time that somebody would prove to us why they can't be our standards. We're going to bring ourselves out, right? And the problem with a lot of these people who are coming up with this stuff and saying these things, right? The problem with a lot of those people is this. You ready? The problem with a lot of these people is this, and this alone, just really easy. They're mad that they don't get to be your standard anymore. They're mad that they don't get to tell you. They're mad that they don't get to tell you that you need to just be more like them. If you would just be more like me, the kidnapper, then you would be better than where you are. You don't have to, and you don't get to be the standard anymore, right? And I can say that with a smile on my face because I don't have to work for the oppressor anymore. That's the awesome part about it. It's also the part, like we said before, you don't have to wear that chain. I don't have to wear a chain of answering to somebody who's oppressed me and my family, or says that, hey, you're responsible for what I did because somebody in your family might have helped. Think about that. As much as somebody in my family, it would be an ultimate betrayal of somebody in my family shooting, or not shooting me, but let's say putting me in a position where I would get shot. We're acting like the person who didn't shoot the person in the head is not worthy of any thought process like that. Just because my own family did something to me and said, hey, you'll shoot him. Hey, well, let's make a deal with you. If you shoot him, you're not going to shoot him. You're going to shoot his hand, or you're going to shoot at him, or you're going to make him afraid to where you're going to get on his knees, and then you're going to put him in handcuffs. But they came and they shot us. They killed us. And the person who shot us and killed us said, see, your family member who I worked with, by the way, to set you up, why don't you get it through your thick skull that they are the reason why you got shot? Well, they're part of the reason for sure, but you're the one who shot me. And if I've got to hold him accountable, then how much more so should I hold you accountable? Because you're the one that talked him into it. and said that you would work with him once you had me locked up. And then he didn't even know that you shot me until years later, when another family member had to come back after generations, had to come back and say, hey, you know that cousin that you did blah, blah, and this and that or whatever? Yeah, what's up? Yeah, that was my cousin and blah, blah. And your cut and your family when you did it or whatever. And they actually like played them against each other. Yes, you played them against each other. This is why we have to take off that chain. When you go back to Africa, or when you go back to your native lands, or when you go to South America, when you go to Central America, when you go to Canada, when you go to some of these places where your people are at, have some conversation with them about what happened with them. Right? But first and foremost, let it start with yourself. Take the chain off today. My prayer is that you take the chain off. Right? I'm not putting this chain on you. I'm taking it off and I'm gonna put it to the side. But even if right now, even if you need prayer from us, we can handle it, because if you put the chain on us, we're just gonna give it to the Most High. Now you could just give it to the Most High right now, lay it on the altar. You can put it on Yeshua because His yoke is easy. My yoke, I can't carry all these things. But I've come here today to tell you that even if you want us to pray for, even if you want somebody to reach out to, we're here for you to reach out to. We're here to help you with different things. We're here to help you as best we can, right? Because this right here is a version of an altar call, right? The altar is before thee. And the call, by the way, means invitation. The invitation is simply this: that if you want to take off the chain of oppression and depression and recession today, then what we're saying is stop making concessions and make this confession. The chains are removed in Yahshua's name. And if you can do that, that's a start to your going towards righteousness, right, lawful standing, and that's a start towards going to what your salvation, being salvaged. It's going to be a process now. It's going to be a process. Even when we do baptism and stuff, we tell people, we teach people, hey, when you go down, you're going to deal with some challenges from this point on. You're going to deal with those things, right? We're carrying a lot of different things that we're going through and things like that. We're carrying a lot of different things. We are. But at the end of the day, the chains can come off. Yahweh can remove the chains, but the kingdom of heaven is in you. Use the kingdom strength and take off the chain, right? I present you with the chain of unforgiveness. I've released it a long time ago. Now watch this. Now hold me accountable. Don't let me pick it back up. This is what our community works. I resent you with the chain of not being able to love because I couldn't love myself. I let it go. I love myself. I can't pick it back up now though. When I pick it back up, it becomes my burden again. When I released it, it became my blessing. When I picked it back up, it became my burden. Right? So we're gonna get to a place to where we have to take off these chains. All right. So I thank you guys. We appreciate you. We honor you. Um, please continue to be a part of what we're doing here at SOC. We're going to show you some things in the background if you're on TikTok of things that we're doing as far as tassels, as far as things we're doing for fundraising, events that we've had. Don't forget, Watch Night Service is coming up very soon. We should have a link and everything on YouTube and on Instagram and an advertisement on TikTok and stuff like we did last time very soon for you guys, as well as Facebook. Thank you to you guys who are watching this. Those of you who watch this even on Facebook and the movement in different places. We appreciate you. We honor and respect the king, queen, each and every one of you, even if you're not living inside that kingdom or queendom yet. We appreciate the potential king and queen in each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in today. We will be on this evening. We will do a watch party. If you're part of the Patreon kingdom, you'll see a link go out. If you're part of SOC, you should see a link go out sometime soon as far as a Google Calendar invite. Please check out. We've been having issues again. Please check out on the Google Calendar invite. Make sure they're not going to your spam. If for some reason you don't get the link, you can feel free to text us or email us. That information will be uploaded soon. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, who we give honor to the Most High for. Please check out my wife, the Honorable Maya, on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She's a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. And we're thankful for all the stuff that she does within the diaspora. Classes that everybody's been asking about, they're going to be starting the second Monday of January. All right. And look out for information as the website, which, by the way, website has already been updated. So if you want to go on the website to look for dates, for holy days, for look on when we're going to get leaven outside the home, for look at stuff for next year as far as 4 hours of power and brothers in black, women in red, all the different things that we have. That stuff is updated, as well as the contact page is updated. So numbers you can get in touch with us are on there, as well as a link that you can fill out your information so we can get back in contact with you as well. Okay. And even if you're somebody who's filled it out in the past or has given us your information in the past, we're asking everybody, if you can, please make sure you update it as soon as you can. All right. So thank you all. We appreciate you. We look forward to talking to you guys again very soon. We honor the king and queen in each and every one of you. I'm going to go ahead and take my leave. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken. Until I have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again, please remember, as always, Yashta, that you are loved, you are necessary, you are majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made in you, which is all of us working together. Will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, family. Thank you so much. Take care. Y'all be blessed. Peace.